Welcome back, watchers. This is tonight's watch, and I'm your host, Mark, aka Kidney Stones, aka Minute Salami. We got the man who can never have his own opinion, Luke, aka I like baseball.
Wow. Why? Okay.
We got the president of the I Hate Luke fan club, Tony Vietnamese Knees himself.
Here, present.
And for the first time ever, we have the man not excited for Spider-Man Far From Home whatsoever, my eldest brother Matt, aka Beefstick, aka Deviated.
Hey, no
That is
way
a
home.
farce. Okay.
No way home. You said far from home.
Oh, no way home. Matt, not excited whatsoever.
I'm excited enough to know the name of it.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Matt will be joining us bi-weekly as we start to do movie series in between our random movie picks. So this week we will start Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. Then next week will be Luke's pick, then Spider-Man 2, Toadie's pick, etc. Matt will be here for all of our series reviews and will give us the synopsis and plot these weeks. If this is your first time here, after Matt's spoiler-filled synopsis...
Spoiler.
God, I was waiting for Tony to do it.
I know.
We will give our ratings.
I was gonna let Luke do it.
We will give our ratings for the film, run through the plot, and Luke will give his hints at the end for next week's movie. Matt, even though you hate Spider-Man so much and spit on the new movies, you can start with your synopsis when you're ready.
Okay.
Somebody woke up on the wrong side of the bed today.
Jeez.
A little
Okay.
cranky today.
The synopsis of Spider-Man. Peter Parker is a 27-year-old high school simp with a trust fund dick named Harry for a best friend. He pines over the girl from Jumanji who happens to be dating Big Dick Richie from Magic Mike. Peter is an uncomfortably awkward dweeb until his life is turned upside down when he is bitten by a genetically modified spider. Then he is an uncomfortably awkward dweeb with superpowers. Meanwhile, the trust fund Dick's father, played by Willem Dababy, is making weapons and experimenting with himself, but not in a gross way. The experiment goes awry, and he manifests an alter ego that speaks to him Venom styles. Peter promptly uses his powers for selfish reasons, entering a wrestling match to earn money to buy a car to impress Mary Jane Fonda, who hadn't really seemed to know who he was despite living next to him for 12 years. Peter decides that he will fight crime after his Uncle Ben, not the Rice, is killed in a carjacking that Peter totally could have prevented if he wasn't a selfish little moody boy. Peter simultaneously fights crime and stalks his crush, who is now dating Harry Potter Osborn, because Harry is still a jerk who doesn't give a hoot about his friend's feelings. Pete, meanwhile, earns money by selling glam shots of himself to the Daily Bugle newspaper. The plot thickens like old oatmeal after Norman Bates Osborn, the aforementioned trust fund father, discovers that his Iraq nemesis has been his son's pathetic friend Peter this whole time. The Green Goblin, as his villainous alter ego is cleverly called, devises a plot to at first turn Spider-Man to the dark side for some reason, and then to ultimately kill him. After Spider-Man saves Mary Jane 2 separate times because she relishes being the damsel in distress, she decides that she loves Spider-Man and makes out with him in an alley before going back home to her boyfriend. MJ kind of a floozy, TBH. The Green Goblin enacts his convoluted plan to destroy Spider-Man, and then there's a Matrixy showdown and Gobby is killed, but not before Peter learns that his foe has been the guy from Platoon this whole time. At her ex-boyfriend's father's funeral, MJ professes her baffling love for Wimp Boy Petey, to which he promptly friendzones her and leaves her alone to cry in a cemetery. Then he has fun swinging through the city and narrating his life to himself. End of film.
Good synopsis, Matt Beef. That was a good one.
Oh, gosh. Very good.
Very accurate, very accurate.
Very accurate.
Thank you.
Let's hear your rating for the movie.
Okay, drum roll. My rating for this movie
Okay.
is a 7.6.
Ooh, that's good right there.
Ooh, look at that. Oh.
You want to explain your reasons, or you just get into it during the...
Just slight reasoning. I think when it came out, it was kind of a revolutionary superhero movie, but it's got so many silly things that like are fun, but also like aren't like the best writing. But it's still really fun. So 7.6.
I respect it. Let's hear Luke.
Very nice.
Let's hear Luke.
Okay. I have seen this movie probably 50 times.
I think I've
because
seen it maybe a little bit more than you, which is at least 50. Yeah.
I would act it out word for word as a child, so that explains a lot.
I can vouch for that.
Sadly, I don't like it. And I gave it a 6.4 out of
Oh
10.
my goodness.
Nice.
Wow, you're hating.
I respect it.
All right. Oh, do you have your reasonings?
I don't like it.
All right, that's fair.
I will explain.
enough.
I will explain later.
Tony.
I will preface this by saying I've probably watched the Spider-Man movies probably like once, except maybe like the newer ones.
Hater.
And so this one I haven't seen in a long time, and it blew my expectations. Good movie, 7.5 out of 10.
Okay,
good
Has
okay.
great,
You're-
funny
they're
bits.
Close.
It has some cheesy scenes, some like cheesy lines, some corny bits,
I'll
and
say.
like some tropes. But this was like back in 2002. This is like prime early 2000s superhero movie, and I think it does it really well.
I see.
I was like
respect.
right close to you. I was a 7.3 out of 10.
So Luke's just a hater.
I am the hater.
But I will say,
This was my childhood film along with The Phantom Menace, and I both hate those movies. So well, I don't hate this one. I just
think, Luke, I
don't
think you
like it as much.
I think you wrote a better version of this movie in your own head, and that's why you don't like this as much.
Tobey Maguire, I don't like. Sometimes works in these movies, but it works better when he's in the suit. And all three of these movies work better when he's Spider-Man and not Peter Parker, and I don't have to look at his dumb 27-year-old face. And like, I really like Willem Dafoe.
Oh yes, I
But
do. Too.
it's like
Oh, yeah.
there's always an asterisk by something I like. Like I like Dafoe, but I don't like him. I don't like his suit. I'd rather see his face because he's so menacing himself. Like it's always something. But
Sure.
either way, it's like I still think it's a fun time, especially for the reason you come to the movie is to see Spider-Man fighting crime, and I think they do that exceptionally well. So 7.3.
I think if you embrace the Tobey Maguire and you embrace the Sam Raimi, you have a lot more enjoyable time.
I wish they went more with it, though. Like, I feel like they could have gone more campy, but then it sits in this weird place where it's, like, sometimes too campy, sometimes not campy enough. Like, where sometimes it's trying to be serious, but then you get a silly part, so it
I
seems
kind of
dumb.
like that.
Okay.
It kind of, like, blends that line well for me.
I almost had it lower of a rating because there's a lot of things in here that I'm like, wow, that was dumb. But the
Yeah.
dumb things like made me laugh, and I was enjoying myself. So I was like, I can't
I
knock
did-
it for that.
Laugh at the dumb stuff, but I really don't like the writing for MJ.
Oh, it's terrible.
I
It's
agree.
real.
Oh, it's
I
bad.
don't like it. And then I think the pacing, like after he becomes Spider-Man and after Norman becomes Green Goblin, is just kind of weird. I don't even understand what Green Goblin is doing.
Well, okay, all right. Spoiler alerts for the Amazing Spider-Man 1, and we'll say Spider-Man Homecoming. So, like, all of these introductory movies for these different Spider-Mans. I thought that this one did it the best.
I actually kind of disagree, because if they're on a field trip, why would they let a genetically modified spider that can affect somebody's DNA? Like, why were they? I don't know.
Like,
I
why were
found
they
it
on
kinda
display?
weird.
Like, why are they
Yeah,
on
why was it on
display?
display and nobody took care of it?
I have thoughts on this, but I think, like, do you guys want to start going through it scene by scene?
Yes.
Real quick, though, like,
Okay.
I want to... Has everyone seen every Spider-Man movie that's been released? I know
Yes.
Matt, Luke,
Yes.
and I have.
Yeah.
Tony, have you seen all of them?
I have seen all of them except only scenes from Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
And
That's
you
all you
fell
need to
asleep
see.
for a half hour during Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, he slept
That
a
is
little
correct.
bit during Spider-Verse, but all right. I kind of agree, Tony, that they do the intro to him better here, but we'll get into that. Like, some things I like, some things I don't. So, go
I
ahead.
think especially Marvel's Spider-Man, they kind of just like throw you in, right? And they expect you to already know everything, and it's like fine that they don't want to show like the entire backstory, but then you kind of miss some cool things about it, like
Yeah.
underground wrestling that is like some weird lore behind Spider-Man now, and that's how he got started. I think
So-
that's like interesting. And
I-
then
That's straight from the first comic, The Amazing
Really?
Fantasy number 15, is like he went and wrestled for
That's cool.
like $300 or something because it was back in the 60s or whenever they did it. But that's
And then I also think that it's like a little too formulaic to the Marvel formula, and everything is kind of just like set in a way already.
You can't argue that Marvel isn't kind of cookie cutter sometimes, so I get that.
I do like the uniqueness of this movie.
Yeah, I like when Peter is figuring out his powers. I just don't really like how the spider bit him. But I also don't like it in Amazing Spider-Man.
It's worse
Also,
than Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think it's worse than Amazing Spider-Man. I don't really like them both, so...
There's no reason for the spider to bite him either. Spiders don't bite unless they're provoked, and it was just kind of sitting there.
But it's a super
Anyway.
spider.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot.
All right, Matt, you can start running through the plot.
Okay, so we start off, and Peter is clearly 27 years old. And I wrote in my notes, he's clearly 27 years old as a joke, and then I looked it up, and he really was 27 when he filmed it, and I was like, oh my god.
It all makes sense.
So he's running after the bus.
Wait, I'm sorry. Real quick, the intro. What did you guys think about the intro credits?
That was
I
on my
like-
hit.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a hit pick for
Go
me.
on.
Hit pick. Very
Hit pick.
good.
I like
I really
the music
like
in
it.
this movie
I
a
really
lot.
liked it. It went on like maybe 20 seconds too long.
It is very long. I liked the animations, and Danny Elfman's music is kind of awesome. So
I agree. There's a point
I
where
like
like
the
the song dies down, and then you think it's gonna end, and then it comes back up, and I'm like, they should just ended it when the
like
music
psych.
died down. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So Peter's running after a bus, which he always seems to be doing in this movie around, like, the same street. And there's, like, no bus stop around, so I don't know where he's supposed to get on the bus.
Oh, Toby.
But he's always running after a bus. And then this time the bus driver he just lets him on, and it's fine. And everyone's a dick.
This was his best acting in the film when he was
And
running after the bus.
I can't help but draw parallels to
Wow.
Forrest Gump, where they're like, taken, and they can't sit next to me.
This...
Yeah.
He has narration over this, and
the narration's
the
bad.
line includes, MJ, the girl I loved before I even liked girls.
What does that mean?
I will say that this part is probably the worst part of the movie. This beginning scene is horrid. It's not good.
I did have Toby narration under a nitpick, but I was just gonna like save it till the end because all of the narration is bad.
For sure. I like when he's running after the bus because it's before you get introduced to his horrible fucking acting this whole movie, and he's just running, screaming at the bus. I'm like, this feels like Peter Parker for one time out of these three fucking movies.
I also want to point out that MJ says, look, he's been following us since this boulevard. Why didn't she stop the bus sooner? She let him run all that way.
And he was like,
She don't care about
Usain
that
Bolt
much.
out there. He was running
don't care
hard.
about It's also like
it's-
New York City, though, right? So like that bus is gonna stop, and then there's gonna be traffic.
But
blah, blah,
he's
blah,
her
blah.
neighbor for
Oh.
12 years.
No,
or-
that's another thing. She doesn't
Luke,
seem...
if you were my neighbor for 12 years, I'd let the bus leave you.
Oh,
dude.
I know that. I know that for sure.
in the first scene, she doesn't seem to know who he is when they're on their field trip, though. He's like, can I take a picture? And she's just like, oh, yeah, whatever. She doesn't, like, call him by name.
is weird. It is
She
weird.
doesn't make any reference to knowing him at all, but she does later. It's weird.
Definitely, I agree.
Okay, so do you want to move on to when we're at the field trip, the Oscorp?
Well, I think
Lab.
we should have a discussion about
Okay.
Tobey Maguire's acting. Doesn't Tony, you like it, right?
I think it is bad. It is bad acting, but it's fun to watch. Like he's
fair.
like painfully monotone, and we're like painfully like delivering his lines and like super awkward, and it's like to the point where just his bad acting is the whole awkward part of the scene. But
I
I
see.
think that's fun to watch compared to like everything else you get in like superhero movies now, because everyone in superhero movies now are good actors, because it's like actually this big blockbuster genre that's like pulling in millions and millions of dollars, so you better get good actors. But it's like kind of funny to go back and watch an early 2000s movie and see like the bad acting in it.
That was
I
part of like
respect
what
that.
I meant with like he kind of like I don't like his acting, but it kind of works in these movies. It would never work in any of the other Spider-Man movies, but it kind of works with the campiness. But sometimes I wished it went more campy because his acting's so bad. Like it's so
I
bad.
get that, because it's like kind of a movie that you rate high because it's enjoyable, not because you actually think it's a good movie. where like newer superhero movies are actually trying to be good superhero movies, but they're like too cookie cutter and too formulaic and have to follow a certain thing that they just don't reach that. Where this movie's not like trying to be a really good movie, but it's like just an enjoyable watch.
His acting is kind of wooden, and he kind of just like mumbles everything, and he's kind of just there. And like his acting with MJ makes, I was like, there's no way a girl would like him. There's no way. No. So when like later on things start changing between them, I was like, not with him. No, I don't buy it.
I also can't tell if that's his real voice or if he's trying to make it softer as he's a kid. Like, I can't tell. Like, it's just bad. It's really hard to watch.
Well, the only other thing that I remember seeing Tobey Maguire in is The Great Gatsby, and his voice is kind of the same, so I think that's just his voice.
Very weird. I don't like it. I don't like it whatsoever.
Yeah, not good.
And MJ, we hate the character, all of us, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
The writing's not good.
I like her performance, except for when she's bouncing, like in their romantic scenes, because they have no
Yeah.
chemistry. But I actually think
Yes.
she's a much better actress than he is.
I like
actress.
Kirsten Dunst. I
Her
like her a
acting
lot.
is fine. The writing is the problem. She does what she can with what she's given.
Yeah, it's
right.
she's crazy.
But now compare Tobey Maguire to Andrew Garfield to Tom Holland and Mary Jane to Emma Stone to Zendaya.
You mean Gwen Stacy?
Yeah, love interest.
I like Gwen Stacy better than Mary Jane.
Yeah.
I like MJ in Homecoming and Far From Home the best.
You can't deny that Gwen Stacy and Peter they're also really awkward together, which is weird because
Yes.
they were dating at the time. It's
It's
a
very
different
strange.
It's a different kind of awkward.
Yeah.
So that one, it's like too. Yeah.
So-
all of them have problems.
I think like I like Zendaya in Far From Home as MJ, but
Yeah.
I definitely think my favorite is Gwen Stacy so far, just because she actually does stuff in the movies, and she's like in
That
there
makes
and not
sense.
the helpless like woman always falling off of something. And Zendaya's not either; she's just barely getting introduced to that world, so maybe she'll become that.
Especially in like the first introductory movie, Homecoming. She's like not in it a lot,
Oh, yeah.
and she's not the love interest
Which
at
I think
all.
is good. Which I
Which
think
I
is
thought
good.
was good. Who was the girl? Liz. Yeah, because wasn't she in the comics?
Yeah, she was his girlfriend actually when he started. I think because I was reading the Green Goblin one in preparation. I didn't finish it because I didn't have enough time. But he was with Liz, and then someone got mad. I think Betty got mad at him because he was with Betty and he was talking around Liz and stuff. And Betty is a character that works for J. Jonah Jameson in this world. So it's like all these girls, but like Gwen Stacy in Amazing Spider-Man actually did stuff. She was out there and she was like, "You can't tell me what to do. I want to go out there and help you." And I'm like, "Thank you."
That makes sense.
So,
And she's actually smart. Like, she was, like,
Yes.
legit
Yes.
smart. Whereas Zendaya's character, at least in the first movie, was basically just, like, a toned-down version of her character from Euphoria.
but she is smart because she's in that club. She just doesn't like show it.
Exactly. She shows it more in Far From
Very
Home.
Yeah.
aloof and non-caring the entire time.
Also, real quick, I think that I think they all work for their movies. Like, Tobey Maguire's my least favorite, but I think
Tobey Maguire is my favorite.
of course, I think Andrew Garfield works in his serious type of role for it, and it's like
Yeah.
too much crying. But I think he works for that. I think Tom Holland works for MCU. So my favorite would be Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire. But I think they kind of work in their world.
I think that Andrew Garfield's would have been better if he smashed more laptops.
And more calculators.
and more alarm clocks.
See, I agree that they all work for their worlds and like their stories, but I like Tobey Maguire's most because it's the most unique, and I'll like put Tom Holland second. But if I really wanted to like watch a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, I can kind of get that vibe from like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie or like a Thor movie, and just have like a cooler superhero to watch.
Ouch!
I,
Ouch! Ouch!
And then
I disagree.
Andrew Garfield last.
What do you mean by
Last.
cooler? Because I think Spider-Man's pretty dang cool.
Not enough to put in your
Spider-Man-
anticipated movies.
Go away.
going
This is a
on-
different conversation.
Spider-Man is going on his, what, 7th movie? No, 8 if you count Spider-Verse, right? In like this
Yes.
2-decade time span kind. So you kind of get this over dilution of Spider-Man, the superhero, fed to you, right? It's like you get all these different stories of Spider-Man, and like Spider-Verse does it well because it's like interesting in like a new concept kind of way. But you're just getting this same old like teenage superhero, and he has the superhero powers of a spider. Ooh. And it's like, if you want to watch a Marvel Spider-Man movie, it's all like kind of the same tone of jokes and all the same formula, that you might as well just watch a different Marvel superhero movie.
I think it has different kind of comedy. I kind of agree with the formula, and I think my two favorite are Homecoming and Far From Home. But the biggest critique I'd have is like, you had Tony Stark in Homecoming, you had Nick Fury in Far From Home.
Yeah.
Get it away from the MCU. Like those are my two favorites. But like, I would like it if they cut it kind of off. And not, like, I know the next one's supposed to have Doctor Strange, which is, like, better, but it's also, like, it's always someone, you know, to, like, keep it in there, and I kind of like it if it was, like, away from it, I guess.
It's definitely not standing on its own feet, in a sense. Like, I'm sure it's, like, wildly popular, and I think most people think it's the best, but it's always kind of leaning on the MCU as a factor in that world, that you don't get just a Spider-Man story.
So it is nice, this one, going back and just seeing a nice, like, contained Spider-Man.
Standalone.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
All right, Matt, you can continue.
So we get to the field trip and we get introduced to Harry and Norman Osborn, and we learn that Harry has been kicked out of a school or something, and that's why he's in public school and not private school.
He's been kicked out of
multiple private schools.
Yeah.
Multiple private
and
schools.
Defoe is the best actor here, and
Yes.
Harry
He is
and
big hit pick.
James
Pro,
Franco is
pro.
arguably the worst with Tobey Maguire. So.
James Franco,
Okay.
sometimes it just seems like he's phoning it in, and he's not trying at all. Especially at like the end scene, it's like he's barely acting.
Yeah, and his character is very one note in that, like, he's kind of
cries.
just he's cries and he's out for himself the whole time, and that's
His character
that's
just
about
kind of
it.
sucks.
You
Yeah,
can tell he wants to impress his father.
that's it.
That
That's
is
his
all.
whole.
This
yeah.
is so. This gets into like my biggest flaw in this movie. I'm sorry, Matt. I know we're like barely getting into the plot.
That is
like,
okay.
the characters. My biggest flaw in this movie is that like, I wanted Norman Osborn to be more sympathetic before he turned bad. So like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a douchebag anyway, so why would we care that he's going insane? If we made him a good, supportive father, and Harry really, really loved him, and then he starts going crazy, and then Spider-Man kills him, then it would make sense why in the sequels Harry wanted to kill Spider-Man, you know? Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense when he's just kind of a douchebag anyway. And, like, even when he's, like, so, you know how he goes into, like, phases where he's, like, bad, but then he's, like, back to normal? When he's back to normal is that scene at Thanksgiving where he's, like, being completely rude about MJ, and I'm like, he's not sympathetic whatsoever.
I think
There's
that's
only-
like part of the Goblin getting to him during that scene, though.
You think?
I agree with the Thanksgiving scene.
There's
that-
only one scene
Yeah.
where he's like actually trying to be a good father, and that's where they're like talking on the stairs, and he's like they're having like a heart to heart, but it's like 2 minutes of the movie, and that's it.
I just want to see more.
I think
Yeah.
as the
before-
movie goes on, though, in like when he's switching phases, it's not like boom, he's Green Goblin or he's not. It's starting to like mix into where like he's just this person that is Green Goblin, because like you kind of get it at that Thanksgiving scene, like he's being this dick asshole, but he's getting like these like urges from Green Goblin, like he sees a blood drop, or like Aunt May slaps his hand and you see it kind of
Yeah, I
trigger
like
him,
that
right?
fucking Aunt May, don't even.
So it's like he's going like in and out of this Green Goblin state, and he's mixing with it so much that he's like just kind of Green Goblin. And especially at the end, you kind of get this where it's just him, like just him normal talking, right? It's not Green Goblin voice or anything, but he's trying to kill Peter Parker during it. And so like I think as the movie goes on, his character goes from like normal to Green Goblin, and then back to normal, and then Green Goblin. But then it starts like to mix and fade in the middle to where like, is he Green Goblin or is he not?
And I'm fine
I-
with that as long
Yeah.
like if in this beginning scene, you know how he brings the backpack to Harry, if like, but then it's kind of implied like, oh, he's proud of Peter more so. If he's like just something like "I love you, son," like where they have a heart to heart very clearly that he's a good father before. Like that's all I need. Like give me a little bit of that, then he could be more sympathetic. But it's not clearly shown before he turns.
But
evil.
it could also be like, if you look at it from like a different lens, it's like Harry's never getting the love he wants from his father, and he's always trying to impress his father. And then he dies without doing this. So then he like for the rest of his life, he feels like he needs to like be that image that his father wanted, like that he thinks his father wants.
For sure, and that's what they're doing. I just think I would like it better if it was more like just sadness that his great father died.
I'm fine with it not being that way, and you're like, man, Harry, your dad's a piece of shit, and you keep going to him, and then he does, and it's kind of like this tragedy where he never gets this love that he like wants so badly, and he's turning to the dark side just for this love that he never even got.
And if you want to psychoanalyze it, there's a lot of people who try to impress their parents who didn't treat them well, and it's kind of tragic because no matter how he was treated by his dad, he always wants him to be proud of him, so it's kind of sad.
That's what I got from it.
See, but I got that, but it's James Franco.
Okay, you convinced me.
And they're just this car scene's so weird because Willem Dafoe's the best actor in this movie. By far.
Far and away, yeah.
And
I actually disagree with that.
who do you think the best actor?
If you say Tobey Maguire...
J.K.
Oh, yes,
okay.
yes.
Oh,
okay,
okay,
yes.
yes.
J.K.
Okay,
Simmons
he's
is so
not a
good.
main character though, but
Agreed.
by far
Sure.
he's the best
But
part
he's
of this
so
entire
good.
trilogy. Like by far the best part of this trilogy. I agree.
I would watch just a movie of just J. Jonah Jameson clips.
Yeah.
That was like 4 hours.
Oh
I would-
god,
I agree.
There's a
I
part
agree.
in Spider-Man 2.1 that they cut out that I'm not going to talk about until we do that movie of J. Jonah Jameson, but it was insane. So I'll talk about that in a couple weeks.
Release the Jameson cut.
Yeah,
Spider-Man 2.5784.
and it's just him.
Spider-Man 2.J.
All right, Matt, continue with the plot.
Okay, so this is where we get the first glimpse of Harry being jealous that Peter has more in common with his father than him. And we get a scene that got turned into a meme, which is one of my hit picks, because he goes, "I'm something of a scientist myself." And you see that on the internet a lot now. And that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, it was a good line. It was a good line.
Yeah. So they're actually inside, looking at everything. And their teacher definitely wants to murder all of his students.
Yeah,
This guy
okay.
has so much
I just
rage.
want to point out that he was like whispering like this, and he was like, "I will fail all of you. I promise."
He leans in, he's like, "I will kill you."
I thought it was funny though because the teacher honestly looks almost the same age as everyone else.
I think he looks younger than Flash Thompson.
Yeah.
Flash is like, everyone looks 27, Flash looks 35.
He's also like taller than Tobey Maguire, who already looks like 6 foot in this movie. So it's like that guy looks gigantic,
Yes.
and he's gonna be Deathstroke, where he was
I
supposed
will
to.
Or he's
add-
supposed to be.
You're right. You're right. That's where I've seen him.
Also, as I mentioned before, he plays a character in Magic Mike called Big Dick Richie. So, there's that.
I will say I like the Flash Thompson in Marvel Spider-Man more, like this kind of new age take on him, where he's just not like some
Oh yeah,
tropey
Grand
bully.
Budapest
He's like
Boy.
Yes,
some
yes.
like new aged bully for the kids nowadays.
Tony
But
Revolori,
I think
Yeah.
what this Spider-Man does well is like they make him an asshole, and when he gets his ass handed to him, you get like that burst of serotonin. You're like, yeah, fuck that guy.
It's definitely like an old school comics bully, and this
Yes.
whole movie is trying to be like old school comics. That like the tone would almost work better if it was set back then. Even like some of the things they wear, like it's obviously modern, but they're like trying to make a movie about the old original comics, and sometimes it doesn't blend completely well. Like this Flash Thompson, totally outdated. Bullies aren't really like that. Which
But
they
this
do
is
better now.
2002. This is a 2002 bully.
Guess Matt, how old are you in 2002? 6?
Matt was
Six.
You were six.
six.
Did you
Yeah,
have
he
any
was
Flash
not.
Thompsons?
He was not a senior
Were-
in high school.
Were
in
you a
2002.
Flash Thompson or were you a Tobey Maguire?
Or were you a Harry?
Yeah.
I think I was one of the guys in the background just cheering them on to fight.
Oh, you're an instigator.
Did your
I
did
see.
your
yeah.
teacher want to murder you like this one?
I will fail all of you. I swear you not.
As far as I know, no. But you have to remember that during this time period, that was the height of Nickelback, so it was a different time.
Quite a different time. Quite a different time.
Too much hate for them, am I right?
Too much hate. Too much hate. Too much hate.
I think because it's a 2002 movie, like marketed towards kids, and you guys watched as kids, it's like kind of different than like thinking about what a senior in high school would be like in New York City in 2002.
I will say I watched this movie so many times, like Luke mentioned.
Yes. Our
Like,
VHS cover for
Oh,
Spider-Man
God.
is in shambles.
I think it started wearing out because we had to rewind it so much. Well, because we didn't like Spider-Man 2 because he didn't have his powers, because we were just
Right, we were
dumb
like, what
little
is
like
that?
what like eight and 5.
We
and
watched
we're
Spider-Man 3 because we liked his dance.
No, well, we liked how much shit happened because that
Yes,
movie's wild.
Sandman.
And
Sandman
like
was
Spider-Man
great.
2, we'll get to that, but it's also like we hated it because it was like a better story.
We were
Because
dumb
it
little
was-
children.
because it was like
better story.
This one does pretty good because I mean we were hooked on this. They got their greedy palms onto us.
So, after the teacher wants to murder the students, Harry, who already knows that Peter has been into MJ forever, is like, let me swoop in and try to sweet talk
This
her right
I
in front of him.
don't get Harry.
I
at
don't
all.
get if he's trying to prove that it
whole
will
thing
work,
with
or if
MJ.
he's like, is he trying to prove that?
That's
flirting
what I
with her will work?
thought at first, right?
But
I was
then they
like,
have a thing
oh,
later.
he's just using his lines to show Peter, hey, if you had just said this to her, it would work. But then he has a thing with her later on, and then something else happens between them later on that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it when we get to it. But this is
And,
probably the worst relationship in the movie.
And as a cherry on top, he uses Peter's lines that he told Harry.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
that's just terrible.
so either way, he's being a dick, and that's kind of his mo.
See, what I thought was like he looked back at him and Peter seemed almost amazed, like he was just proving that it would
Right.
work. So
Peter
like give him
wasn't
the
mad.
courage, which would work if he didn't have a relationship with MJ later.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
just weird. I don't understand it.
And then, okay, so after that happens, he has to take a picture of MJ for the paper, but you know he's not using that picture for the paper later.
Oh, it was so creepy.
Do you remember
The
Amazing
vibes
Amazing
on that
Spider-Man.
was
I was about to
so
say,
creepy.
Amazing Spider-Man. He's gonna crop the school
Yeah,
picture
yeah,
and then
put
put
it,
it on his desktop.
Fucking creep, dude.
It's so creepy.
She
That
acts like
was
she doesn't know
bad.
Peter. Yeah. And then the spider comes down, and for some reason, Peter doesn't feel this giant spider crawling on his hand.
Yeah, I didn't get that part.
He also holds the camera the same spot after she leaves for so long for the spider to bite him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it bites him unprovoked, which I
Yes.
didn't understand that either.
It's
and
a
he doesn't
super
even
spider.
like.
They're not understandable.
But then
He
why?
had, he had just heard that they are like genetically modifying spiders, and one is missing, and it bites him, and it doesn't even phase him. He's just like, "Oh, spider bite."
I
It's
don't
blue and
understand
red.
that
It's
Yeah.
fucking blue and red, and he's
bites
like,
him.
oh.
It bites him and then it crawls off. I would have stomped on that motherfucker, bro. If it bit me and started crawling
Or-
away and I saw it.
At least go to someone else and be like, "Hey, that spider you're missing. I think it just saw
Also,
it."
like,
think I just
just
got
say
bit by it.
you don't even have to say that. You don't even have to say this missing spider. You're like, yo, like this place keeps spiders and stuff. You're like, hey, I got bit by a spider, and now
Also,
it's fucking
am I
welling
gonna
up in a
die?
huge ass ball on my hand. He doesn't even go to the hospital. He goes straight home and goes to bed.
None of this
people-
makes. Oh, go ahead, Luke. I'm sorry.
The people at the place too. MJ's like, "There's one missing," and they know it's the genetically modified spider that has.
I'm just saying if
Crazy
it wasn't. I'm
repercussions,
just
and they
saying if
don't
it
care.
wasn't. I'm just saying if it was. But also, like, if you listen to genetically modified spider, like, because it's in the scope of a movie, you're like, oh man, that's the one that's gonna give him motherfucking superpowers. But like, in real life, there's like genetically modified cats that like glow in the dark, right? And like, if you
Yes,
got bit
yes.
by it, you wouldn't be like, oh, I'm like fucking screwed. I'm gonna turn into Catwoman. You're like,
You don't
oh,
know
they
that.
just
You don't know
they
that.
just made it glow. Like, it's not like something that's like super, like, you should be super wary of, like, oh my god, this is gonna turn me into a superhero, but you should still get it checked out just for like normal spider purposes.
So I am glad in this movie that it's not like destined to happen like Amazing Spider-Man. It's just some kid gets
Yes,
bit.
yes.
I really like that. I don't understand why he doesn't say anything after he gets bit. I also don't understand why he doesn't tell his parents he feels sick, like or Aunt May and Uncle Ben, that he feels sick because he got bit by a spider, and he's like delusional. But then if you wake up with like muscles, there's no reason not to tell them still. Be like, I got bit by this and I'm like super big. I don't know what's happening. Like, I don't understand. Like, why do they not have a talking? Why don't they have a communication in their relationship though? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
You should know by a scene later on why he doesn't have a good relationship with his aunt.
Well, Aunt May fucking sucks all of these movies, so that's why.
She does.
So
That is actually in one of my cons. I wrote down, why isn't this Aunt Marissa Tomei?
Yeah, I was gonna
greedy
get to
now.
that, but let's go back to, because there's a scene before that where they're at the Oscorp lab with like Norman and like
Yes.
his
Back to
scientist before
formula.
this.
Back
Oh my,
to
that was
formula.
the only note I wrote was back to formula. He said it like the guy suggested they go out and kill puppies. He was like, back to formula.
I have that
Which
in
isn't
my
even a big
notes.
deal.
I have that in my notes in all caps with 3 question marks. Back to formula.
And then he says it later when he jumps out. He's like, back to formula.
They also say that like we fucking know what back to formula even means. I don't know what that means. Is that
So-
like the last step back, or is that the very first step?
Yeah, we don't know where they are in the process. Like,
So-
I'm guessing it's the first step, and they're at the end.
This is how I understood it. They were ready to start human trials, or at least that's what Norman thought. And the guy was saying we have to go back to the drawing board, which is what back to formula means. And that's why he was like, what do you mean back to formula?
Fucking crazy.
And that's
all
really...
this- I feel like all of this interaction, I guess it makes sense after he gets turned into Green Goblin, but it's all like greed, right? Like he just wants more money from like the military contract or whatever. But at like some point, I'm like, you're rich, bro. Just like retire and chill.
Yeah, I agree. It's that... And well, actually, like any billionaire now, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, it's like no matter how much money they want, it's like, why are you so greedy for
I mean,
more?
that part is true. That is very true.
Okay. And then after that scene, we cut to Aunt May and Uncle Ben, who are approximately 1,000,000 years old.
Why
They
are they
don't
so
know why.
goddamn old? They're so
This
old.
goes back to, like, if you I'll actually send you guys a picture of the comic of how Aunt May looks, and she looks old as fuck. And I don't know why they drew her like that, but I think they're trying to be accurate, even though it doesn't make sense.
Are you supposed to be like great aunt and great uncle? Because
It
they're
seems like it.
old. Because he's supposed to be like 17 or 18 in this
Right.
movie, and then Uncle Ben says that he's 68 years old.
Oh, that's okay. Or it's like they're his old, like his parents were like 20 years younger than his aunt and uncle or something. I
Yeah,
don't
or
know.
something like that.
It's weird regardless. So Peter comes home looking like a crackhead. He's like sweaty and disheveled. Looks like he's been out
He's
shooting
pale
heroin.
too. Yeah, he's pale as fuck.
And his aunt and uncle are like, "Hey, you okay?" And he's clearly not. And he's like, "I'm fine. I'm gonna go to bed." And you're like, okay.
This also is the start of a relationship with them and him where they like don't understand him or whatever. Like they say like you don't want to eat dinner, and he's about to pass out, and he looks like he's about to die, and then they're like, oh, Peter's changing so much, he's not going to even eat dinner with him. And this is like kind of like the start of that thought in their mind. But he's pale as fuck, he's sweating, he's dying, he's like, I'm not okay, I just need to go to bed. And they're like, well, you won't eat dinner?
Well, they treat him like he's 12 and going through puberty. He is like
I
18
agree,
years
yeah.
old. Like he's
Yeah.
not changing. Like he's clearly got pneumonia or something.
And when
He also has to be like his own person eventually. They can't just like
yeah.
think that they can keep some weird relationship with him.
Wouldn't you go into his room and be like, holy shit, he looks like he's about to die. Let's take him to the ER. Like,
Yes.
I don't
Also, doesn't he like take off his clothes or whatever, and then he just like kind of passes out and falls on his bed? You're telling me that at like 0 point during the night they didn't open the door and see this motherfucker's like completely passed out, sweating in his sleep, like half naked, and like, oh shit, he's fucked up.
He's not even on his bed. He's on the floor. Like Aunt
Yeah,
May didn't walk in and
yeah,
be
he
like, "Oh
grabbed
my
it,
god."
yeah. Did you guys see the picture of how old they looked?
Yes, I did, and they are ancient, so it was accurate.
They
but
look like grandmas.
That's an accurate picture.
But I
man.
don't that's why they cast, but I don't understand why they even drew her like that.
No idea. Okay, so for talking about him passing out, this is one of my hit picks. The skull flashes on him
Fuck yeah.
when he's like changing.
Very
It's so,
Evil Dead.
Yeah,
Very
it's
Evil
so
Dead.
Sam Raimi that I love it.
Yeah, that was good. I actually like that. It's silly, but it works. That's like this campiness that I like in this movie.
Yes.
Ooh, I will say there was a line, and like Aunt May asks, "You don't want a bite?" to eat? And then he's like, I had a bite. I need to go to bed.
And she's still upset.
No, because he's saying he had a bite.
Oh, so she's
Oh my
Spider
God.
bite.
Of
That didn't even
spider.
register to
see,
me.
we're
You
just
guys
sitting here
didn't
like, what are
even
you talking
get
about?
that. She's like, do you want a bite to eat? And he said, I had a bite. But he was talking about the spider bite.
Didn't even
I
register.
gotcha.
See, you guys
this
not
movie's
watching
more
the same
complex.
movie I
This
am.
movie's
You guys
more
aren't watching
complex
the
than we
same
give
movie
it credit
than
for.
I
This is
am.
like B movie.
No, it is not. Okay, so the next scene is back to the Oscorp lab, and it's after hours. And Norman is a dick who just breaks glass in his lab, just willy-nilly. And the janitor probably hates
Yeah, that's
him.
not very scientific of him, but whatever.
No. So he drinks the potion. I don't know what you call it.
The potion.
It's the formula that they went back to.
Back to formula.
Because he's testing it on himself, and his.
But
he
isn't
gets,
the gas what the formula is?
Yes. What did he drink? I don't know what it was.
He
Anyway,
drank a potion.
What
I
does-
liked-
what
It
doesn't
was a
make sense-
potion.
So, future spoilers, Spider-Man 3, like, Harry goes into, the chamber or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't drink anything, and then he becomes a goblin and all buff, so I don't understand what the drinking was.
he was taking a shot at tequila to give himself bravery.
That makes more sense.
I liked how he gave this whole speech about 40,000 years of human evolution has led us to this, and then he goes on the table and they strap the things on, and he's like, "Oh, it's cold."
It's cold.
That's good.
You know, I
That's
heard
good.
that line was improvised by him on the day, and it comes off that way. It's amazing. I
That's
love it.
that's
amazing.
cold. Dude, I love his shaking scared me as a kid when he
It did.
starts.
The thing I had written for that was
was
Defoe's
great.
acting is hilarious.
I had
His eyebrows go up and he's all like, oh, and then he just starts freaking out.
And then he just stops and then flatlines. He's like,
I love this.
I had
music.
Norman convulsions written down for that, and it is one of my biggest pros.
It is
And
so
then-
good, and I love how it goes to the computer and it shows his muscles expanding. I'm like, how does the computer show that?
Marcus,
It's
2002.
scientific.
2002.
It is scientific.
And then his acting is also funny when he jumps out and he squats and he's like, "Bleh."
Yeah, that's good. See, this is
I was gonna
so
say,
good.
I loved when they zoom in on his face, and then he blasts open his eyes, and he wakes up, and he grabs him by the neck, and he fucking throws him across the room and through the glass, and then he jumps on and does that goblin pose. That was great.
But when
kinda-
when he's having Norman convulsions, his eyes are white. It's just the
Evil
whites of
Dead
his eyes.
style.
I was like,
It's just-
oh, what is happening? This is why it freaked me out as a kid.
I was gonna say that scene scared me as a kid.
It's a good introduction to a villain, though. I like it, because it zooms in on the heart rate monitor, and then it zooms in on his eyes, like Tony was talking about before
Yeah.
he chokes him. I'm like, this is creepy.
It's good.
Just a real quick tidbit about Willem Dafoe's performance in this. Did you know that his teeth are a little janky in real life? And
Yeah.
as Norman, they put caps on his teeth, like he wore dentures. And then when he plays the goblin, it's his normal messed up teeth.
See, that goes back to, I wish he didn't wear a suit. You know in Amazing
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2, they don't have him wear a suit, it
I
doesn't
remember
work there.
He
But
looked like he had algae in his hair.
the
He
problem
did.
is, the Green Goblin in the comics does wear a suit, but it looks like a suit. It's like a realistic suit to where people think he's an actual goblin because he's trying to trick people, right? But I wish they would have just gone with him being the goblin without the suit, because he's so creepy himself that you put on the mask, you can still hear the voice, but we're not getting that performance I wanted to see of Goblin.
Yeah.
I agree.
I do think that, though, for marketing purposes, if you had an action figure of this suited up Green Goblin,
Oh,
it's a
definitely.
lot easier to sell than some goblin with Willem Dafoe's head on it.
It's also the first Spider-Man movie, so they want to be like the comics, to where it's a suit. They don't want to change stuff up yet. This is the first time they're doing it, so I understand. I think I just want to see more Dafoe.
Yeah, it's understandable. Okay, so then we cut back to Peter's room, and he wakes up after a night of
Gosh.
sweating bullets on the floor.
The first
And-
Avenger, Captain America, first Avenger.
This
Okay.
Yes.
I wrote
so
Peter isn't
iconic.
even really that jacked. He's oh, and he was skinny before.
is.
But, okay, when he flexes, he has abs for sure. But when he first stood up, I was like, he looks like I guess it's accurate. He kind of looks like those 17-year-olds when they first start getting muscle,
Yeah,
and they like
see?
walk around just like pretending like they're huge all the time.
I will agree, man.
I think
will
that
agree.
fits
It's a-
Spider-Man.
I
Yeah.
agree it fits, but I will agree that they said he worked out for like 5 months for this, and it doesn't show off like other people when they talk about working out for movies.
No,
So-
and
but it works.
Once again, it's 2002, and we didn't have a lot of superhero movies, so we don't have Chris Evans looking.
Also, didn't
like
have a lot of
hunk,
steroids back then.
So, yeah,
Yeah, his pecs are not as big as I'm sure he wanted, but his arms are actually pretty nice. So.
yeah, it's okay. At first, I was like, and then he flexed, and I was like, all right, it's fine.
Yeah, he had
How
to
is an
flex to make it.
actor in 2002 supposed to get the steroids that these actors have nowadays?
Hey,
Barry Bonds was doing
using
it. Luke,
2002 was the
But
year
Barry
he hit,
Bonds wasn't like.
Oh, there's
hot.
Luke. I like baseball.
jacked.
Hey, take it easy, take it easy.
Okay, so
And then he's a creep.
he is a creep who stares out the
Toby-
window at his neighbor.
He also
Wait, whoa,
looks
whoa, are
down
we
at
gonna
his little
gla-
pee-pee and says that it grows. Aunt May's
Are we
like,
gonna-
oh, did anything happen?
What are we glancing over, Tony?
Glossing
Sorry.
over the iconic glasses scene where he's like lifting up his glasses and he can
Dude,
just
that's
see
good.
regularly.
That
now.
is pretty good.
Good.
There's
That's
so
like,
many
work.
scenes in this movie that are like iconic for Spider-Man now. It just like defined it. Like
Yeah.
him was like puts up his glasses. I was like, oh my god, I can see now. You don't like that scene, Luke?
I think it's strange that
What?
no girl talked to him until after he took off his glasses.
He got
and then wasn't
confidence,
the-
though. It was the
That's
confidence.
kind of
But it was because of his glass. I don't know. I kind of don't like when movies.
Your bitch ass looks ugly with glasses.
Luke,
My bitch ass looks ugly in general. I have acne scars out the wahoo. I know this, okay?
Luke, you are the only one out of all of us kids who doesn't wear glasses now, so I think you should just be grateful.
Kelly
Uh,
doesn't, but she's
True.
supposed to. So
Yeah, well, I guess that's she has them. She can use them.
Okay, I
All right,
apologize.
as a couple of jams who has to wear glasses, don't you guys think you look better without glasses?
I actually enjoy my glasses. Maybe because I spent 23 years of my life not wearing glasses, so it's just a change. I don't know.
it depends. With the
I think-
type of glasses I have, I think they work if I'm in like a business type of situation. If I'm wearing a full suit, I think they work better. But like normal day, I think I'd look better without them.
Not
You
saying
got those
that people with
accountant glasses.
glasses look worse than if they didn't wear glasses. I'm saying two like 18-year-old high schoolers in 2002. That's just kind of a thing.
I'll agree
and
with
it's-
that. I would agree.
It's the trope of like they do it all the time in movies where it's like the girl takes off glasses and puts her hair down, and it's like, oh, it
she
was
was
Renee
beautiful.
Zellweger
I
the
don't
whole
like
time.
that.
But it's also
yeah.
like you're talking about like high schoolers who are vain and will like
Yeah.
that would happen with them.
And Luke, you forget
compared
that
to like grown-ups or like adults now. Like obviously glasses don't matter. It like absolutely doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter if you wear them or you don't. Like you look the same to an adult. But to like kids, that like could make a difference.
That's
but
true.
Luke, girls aren't really like hovering over him either. I mean, like
That's true.
he also caught MJ's tray, which is
And
like
they did this-
insane.
Whoa.
Which was
We'll get-
realistic. Yeah. We'll talk
get
about
to
it. But
that.
also that fight with Flash and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
people know him from not just the glasses. I think it's everything combined. So everyone's like, "Who is this guy?"
But
Like, it's
also,
not
is
the glasses.
anyone even really fawning over him?
No,
No, that's what I'm
No,
saying. Luke's just being an ass.
I just kind of wish that movies didn't always do that. I don't know. Where you
I
have
think
I
that's
will
fine.
say in the
I think
comics,
that's
I'm pretty sure in
fine
the
to
comics he
say.
kept his glasses for. Yeah, he still has his glasses when he's Peter Parker in the comics.
I think that's a fine
don't know.
thing to want if you're saying that about like the newest Spider-Man. But if you're like going back to the first Spider-Man in 2002, you can't ask the same thing from that movie.
True.
Uh,
Disclaimer for people listening that when I talk about the comics, I'm talking about the ones I've read, which is like the 1960s one, and I haven't read them all. So there's like a ton of different iterations. So don't flame me.
basically all I've got is that Luke hates people with glasses. Confirmed.
Yeah,
What, no, what I'm saying.
I mean, he
I
does hate
feel like-
me, and I have glasses. So
wait,
that's
no.
confirmed.
What I'm saying is, I actually like because I'm saying they don't need to take off their glasses to be cool.
So you hate Tony because he doesn't wear glasses?
So you hate me because I don't wear glasses?
Yeah,
Oh man,
it comes out.
it comes out.
Luke,
I
you'd
think
be a terrible
that's-
politician.
So I think like tropey things like that are different from like say B movie. When did B movie come out?
07.
So like
5 years
so
later.
B movie came out in '07 and it has like straight up racist jokes. I think you're allowed to say back then they should not have racist jokes cuz racism is never okay. But like going back to 2002 and being like they shouldn't have that trope is a little weird cuz it's just like a movie trope.
It's the
existed.
same thing
Yeah.
with the costume. You can't blame this one for having Green Goblin in a costume because it's the first one to do it.
And it's not like a bad thing that they should have like known about like say
No,
racism in B movie, but
I
it's like
agree. I just don't
something
think that
that's just
like
normal back then.
I don't think that defines Spider-Man is like the taking off the glasses.
No, he was saying it's just like an iconic shot that like people use. Like
It's an iconic shot that if you're thinking about like it defines how Spider-Man is getting these powers, if that makes sense. It like
Okay,
defines the transition of him getting superpowers. Like
Yeah.
I think it's a good way for the
another
movie to show
scene
it.
of that is like, oh, like he's stuck to the ceiling in like Spider-Verse or something, right? It's like those scenes are like defining his transition between just regular guy to Spider-Man. And if you're thinking of all the scenes where he's going from regular guy to Spider-Man, you think of this glasses scene.
True.
Yeah.
Can I
Okay.
go back real quick to something we glossed over? Was that when Peter and Norman were talking, he mentioned that he wrote a paper on Norman talking about nanotechnology, which is like what Tony Stark uses in the MCU now. So it's kind of a nice introduction to the nanotech is like what Spider-Man's current like Infinity War suit is.
Oh,
Like
wow, I
the
didn't
metal
even
suit
catch
is
that.
nanotech, and so I kind of like that
cool.
they like subtly mentioned it and it never comes back. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool. Okay, so after Peter does the cool glasses scene that Luke hates, we see that he has a
Fucking
perfect
hater.
view of MJ through the window.
God.
This was the start of one of my biggest cons where he's like, oh my god, he lives next to her. I was like, what the fuck? He lives right next to her because they acted like strangers in the beginning.
Yeah,
scenes.
and then like later on they talk like they've known each other forever, so it's weird.
Yeah,
But
I was like, what?
he acts like a gigantic stalker here. He just like follows
Yes.
her from a distance as she walks
Yeah,
out
he
of her
does.
house, and then they show up right at the same spot where he was running after the bus the first time.
But also, when he goes down to Aunt May and Uncle Ben, he runs up the wall. And when
Yeah,
he's
I
like,
like that part.
hey,
Yeah.
Peter,
Boom, boom, boom.
what the fuck are you doing? Clean your shoe prints off the wall,
Yeah.
you fucking weirdo.
Just rock.
I will
walk up to him
add
with a
this.
rag.
I will say this in defense of the movie: is Aunt May and Uncle Ben are old as fuck. They probably can't hear shit.
They didn't even know it was Peter.
No.
They forgot that he was living there. That's why they never
Who are
checked on
you?
him.
What are you doing in my house?
Well, they
I'm
didn't
your
hear him.
nephew, Uncle Ben. Oh yeah.
They didn't hear him convulsing upstairs all night, so.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, so he watches creepily as MJ gets into the car with Flash and her friends, and then he runs after the bus again, which has like paper on it, and
Yeah.
that's the only time
I
I've
like to
ever seen paper on a bus, and it's only there specifically to show how sticky his hand is.
I
So
really
it's kind
like
of
the
a-
scene.
Hands.
I really
Sticky
like-
hands.
I like the scene too.
It's a plot convenience, but it is nice to see. You're like, oh,
Luke,
cool.
so you're telling me you like this sticky hand scenes more than the glasses scene?
Because Luke always got sticky hands, if you know what I mean.
It's true.
That's true.
Truth be told, my hands
Like I
are
think the
always
glasses
sweaty.
scene is a better
Sweaty.
scene showing that he's getting superpowers than sticky hands. But whatever.
Well, no, I'm just saying the glasses isn't like my favorite part. You know what I mean?
But sticky hands is.
Yeah.
Wait,
'cause I
so
like
think
sticky
of a
hands.
scene. What scene do you think like is a good scene that shows that he's getting superpowers? Sticky
Well,
hands?
Sticky hands. Well, I'm just saying the glasses. I don't know. I just didn't want.
Like if you had to think of all the Spider-Man transition scenes, which ones stand out to you comparatively?
when he takes the tray and then flings it back and hits Flash in the head for no good reason.
I mean like he just first wakes up and then he's learning that he has superpowers. Not like okay, he has superpowers now, what he's doing with it.
I just maybe if they didn't, I just don't really like glasses. That glasses part.
Oh,
like
we know.
I think it's fine.
Oh, we know.
I was
Fucking
just
hater,
saying that.
dude. What the hell?
Hey, you
Luke
guys are
has
hating
never
on me
worn
for
glasses.
every opinion
Luke
that I have
has
in a
never
movie.
worn glasses in his life, and he hates the glasses scene. It's confirmed.
No, I
Luke is
like
a
that he
glasses
has
hater.
glasses. I wish he kept the glasses when he was
Luke,
Peter.
spiders have like 8 motherfucking eyes. Why wouldn't he be able to see better?
How
I
is he
don't know.
gonna wear glasses when he's swinging around a Spider-Man?
See, that's what doesn't make sense in the comics. Is like if he needs them for his everyday life, what the fuck would he do in his costume?
That's true.
Where
That's
the
true.
Eric
He got
Gagne,
context goggles in his
yeah,
Spider-Man
the Eric
glasses.
Gagne goggles that have the strap around the back.
I guess I am hating because it would at least girls didn't like fawn over him once he took off the glasses.
Yeah,
I just like other movies. I don't know.
I think the
they
most-
do fawn over him when he parts his hair the other way, but we'll get to
They
that
do
in a
do
different
that.
week.
They do that.
I mean, I think the most that he gets for taking off the glasses is MJ says, "Wow, you have blue eyes. I never noticed that with the glasses on," and that's
That is
it.
true.
And that's like practically
I'm
it.
probably hating, but I just didn't think that was like a defining, iconic scene with the glasses.
You're not
That
a
was-
defining iconic scene.
I suck. I know this.
that's kind of a good segue into the next scene, Tony, because MJ slips and he uses his spider-like reflexes to save her, right? And she says, "Did you just get contacts?" And his response is to just stare at her like a
Yes,
dingleberry
I
until
thought
she
that was
walks
very
away.
funny.
Hey, respect, because he did this scene practically. It took 158 takes, and he caught all of
Really?
them.
So
Because
Holy
they-
crap.
He had sticky, like, it was, like, stuck to his hand, right, Matt?
That's
Wow.
So when he's actually catching it, he's actually catching it with, like, the tray was, like, stuck to his hand.
Okay.
Which is super cool.
And that's
I respect
what
it.
Luke is hating on for this movie. He's
Yes,
doing
he
practical,
hates practical effects. He
Spider-Man
hates John
effects.
Wick.
I like the
he hates
tray.
Mission
That's
Impossible.
amazing.
He hates people who do their own stunts. So
He
I like
hates
the
Tom
tray
Cruise and
part.
Jackie
I never
Chan.
said that.
you
So-
hate John Wick. That's what you're telling me.
I don't
What
like
I'm-
that the webs come out of his wrists.
I agree with that.
Oh, wait,
That's
yeah.
beside the point.
that was like one of my biggest nitpicks of this movie. I was like, how does that even work? Where does it come
But
out
wait,
of?
Matt, you skipped a scene
Which scene did I
where
skip?
I think Harry asks his father where he's been at night, and then there's a memory flashback jump scare.
Oh, yes.
I
Fuck
loved
yes.
that scene. It was such a good scene. It's like,
Because-
where were you
yeah.
last night? And then he's like, and then he's
Norman-
like, oh.
Norman is passed out on the floor of his office, and he comes in, and Harry comes in and is like, "Dad, are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And that's like the end of it. It's like, is this a normal occurrence?
But the jump scare, I loved the jump scare. I like it because it's like, this is like a kid's movie or whatever, and then you add something that would scare kids. That'd be funny.
So that was also the beginning of like, I don't understand how Norman is not a suspect in all these killings throughout the whole movie.
Yes, seriously.
Oh yeah, because I also think that's when they come in and say Dr. Strom was found dead in the lab.
Yes. And I was like, he was the last one seen with Dr. Strom, and I'm sure they have security cameras. So it's like, why is he
Yeah,
not
suspect
being
number
interrogated?
one.
Yeah. It gets even worse later because like so many things happen that only Norman could have been there for. But
And people see him on the glider that
Yep.
like is literally made by Oscorp.
His company.
yeah,
Yeah,
they saw people. I mean, and I think all of them are dead by like halfway through the movie, but a bunch of people saw the Green Goblin uniform, the costume.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. But they did say that the glider and the suit was stolen. So
Wow.
maybe someone
that's-
stole it. and
That's all
started
the
doing
convincing
all
the
this.
police ever need. They go, "Oh, stolen. Okay."
That's
Oh, yeah.
all the convincing that I need.
So stupid. Small hit pick back at the cafeteria scene. Or yeah, hit pick that right before MJ slips, his eyes go wide and looks at the slip, like because spider sense, which is like a complaint
Right.
with the new movies.
I
so
thought
like
the
that.
spider sense scenes in this movie were great, and,
it,
you
like, I
honestly
really like the
missed
sound
a
mixing.
lot of it.
I really like the
Sound
sound
mixing was good.
It was like
yeah.
like,
Yes,
and then it's
yes.
like it happens. It's like
That
that's
sounded like
super
a
cool.
fart. What was that?
And honestly, you miss a lot of it in the new movies. Like,
Yeah.
and I think Spider-Man: Homecoming. I don't know if he has spider senses at all.
He doesn't.
Like, it's like kind of this like main thing about him being Spider-Man. Like, that's like almost the number one superpower that he gets from being Spider-Man, and
They-
it's not used at all.
They do talk about it in Far From Home. That like sometimes it's off and stuff, but and like he wasn't
So
fully tuned.
weird.
But I do like it a lot in this movie. But then the organic webs because the finger gets caught in his hand. So let's see, how many of us like organic webs?
You mean coming out of the wrist?
Yes,
Not me.
Lucas.
It's
Do
fine.
not.
I think it's fine.
I think it works for this movie and not any other Spider-Man movie.
I don't like it because I don't understand at all. Like, they just show that there's like a little thing on his wrist, and I'm like, I don't understand at all what's going on.
I don't understand how it comes through the suit, but it's also
Yeah.
like, for this movie in this universe, it kind of makes sense because Peter's not shown that he's smart at all in these movies. So
Yeah.
like,
He's
how would he
kind of
make
a
the
nit-
web? Like,
Yeah.
because the way they wrote him, I think it makes sense, and it helps in Spider-Man 2 as well because that storyline. So I like it, but I've always been like #1 supporter of like non-organic webs where he
Yeah.
manufactured webs. But for this movie, it actually kind of works. Maybe
I
a
will
nostalgic,
say-
maybe a nostalgic factor.
What was
kinda
the
helps.
original comics? Original comics was he makes his own webs.
Yes.
I will say that what I do like about organic webs is you get rid of that like thing where like, oh, so you're telling me this motherfucker spent this many hours making all these webs and he's just not gonna ever run out. That's what you telling me? And I think you
In
avoid
Amazing
that.
Spider-Man, he does run out at one point. So I
Sure.
kind of like that, but yeah.
I think that kind of takes care of that entire like the writers and the directors no longer have to worry about that, and I'm fine. With
And
it.
they don't have to worry
Also-
about ever showing that he's actually intelligent.
It's also a setup for Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, true.
And if you think about it, if you just imagine like that the butthole that spider webs come out of in normal spiders, you just imagine that on his wrist.
Yeah. Maybe it does come out his butthole, too.
Oh,
Good.
Okay, I'm gonna try to say this without being too explicit and gross.
Matt, you haven't seen the Gone in 60 Seconds one, but Jamie and Tony got extremely explicit and gross.
I don't even
Oh,
remember.
okay.
I don't
So-
even remember what happened then.
It was grotesque.
Let me just say, my question was, when Peter is getting intimate with a woman,
Yes.
is it
It's
web?
spider webs. It's spider
Yeah.
webs.
No, it can't be spider webs unless there's also that veiny looking butthole orifice on the tip of his penis.
I think Peter had that
Wouldn't you
before
think-
he got bit.
Wouldn't you think that's the first, like, either his butthole or his pee-pee? Like, if a spider bit him and the web was looking for a place to come out of, it'd be that instead of a wrist and make its
Well,
own.
I
little-
don't think
Yes.
I don't think that the actual spider web making butthole is the spider's butthole though. I think it's like a completely
It's
separate
like a different
orifice.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So if it was like a different orifice, maybe like on his like right above his butthole, it'd be
Okay.
the most believable.
I have a spider. I have a tarantula, and I don't know how everything works, but I have never once seen it poop, so I don't even know if it has a butthole.
Go look right now
I-
at its
no.
butthole. Go check its butthole and tell us what's going on back there.
I
I
bet
see-
you if you spread its cheeks and
It
tongue
got
punch
cheeks!
your way, tongue punch your way into that spider's butthole, you will taste a little
Oh.
bit of spider poop.
It
Dear
does.
God.
It does have. Okay, it has these two little things called spinnerets that look like tiny little like arms coming out that it uses to spin webs. Do you think that Peter grew those in his pants?
Maybe.
I believe so. I believe so.
Okay.
Honestly, someone who
Away from the
actually
point.
knows,
God.
someone who knows the anatomy of spiders is gonna think we're all dumbasses.
Dude,
Hey, I know that. I can see. I can see them.
I want you to
We
know,
know
like,
nothing about spider anatomy.
it's also like, would you guys agree I'm the biggest Spider-Man fan here?
Yes.
I agree.
I've
Yeah.
also, but like anyone who is listening and has read any of the comics is gonna think I'm an idiot because I don't actually read all that many comics. So like, I'm the biggest fan here. I'm like, ooh, I like this because of the comics, but it's like one comic and they have like millions of them.
Oh yeah. You're
So
gonna.
like, we're gonna get flamed.
You're gonna get so much hate mail.
so much
mail.
hate mail. Honestly, if you have a problem with this podcast, you should just bring it up to Mark because he's the biggest spider.
Yeah, send me some hate
Honestly-
mail to nightswatchpodcast@gmail.com.
Honestly, you should just show up at his apartment, and his address is.
Wait a
Social
second.
security number is
Hey, but I'm again back to the movie. I like the organic webs in Sam Raimi's universe.
Okay.
I'm not a supporter. Like, I'm not a supporter except for with these silly ass movies. Okay.
I agree.
With the webs coming out of his wrist, this scene. How did nobody in that cafeteria see the web come out
It
of
doesn't
his
make
wrist?
sense. Yeah, it doesn't make
And
sense.
then when he's walking away later, everyone sees it trailing behind him, and nobody questions like, "What in the hell is that?" They just look at it.
And
like,
then
okay.
they see
I think
Spider-Man
they just
a
think
month
him some
later.
doofus.
But they,
Yeah.
Spider-Man a month later, they'd be like, "Oh, that's Peter Parker."
There's multiple times throughout this
Maybe.
movie where I don't know how he's not recognized. But we'll
Also,
get
he
to
does a
that.
backflip in the hallway, so it's kind of
Yeah,
like,
Okay.
what the fuck?
When,
I
when
like.
he's-
Well, yeah.
Luke, you can go.
he flings the tray back behind, literally almost like he
No,
throws
start
it.
over from the very beginning. You have to start over from the very beginning.
That was my beginning.
That's where he started.
Okay.
So he flings the tray back and hits Flash in the head, and it looks like he throws it, and MJ's like, it was an accident. But it definitely
No, there's
looked
no
like
way
it
she
was on
knows that.
purpose.
I think she's just diffusing the situation. I think she's just
I agree.
diffusing
I
the
agree.
situation.
She knows
Like,
her
if you have
boyfriend's
some
an ass, so.
fucking asshole
Yeah.
roid rage boyfriend, you would just say anything to diffuse it.
Okay, but when
Truth.
Peter's walking out, this is one of my favorite scenes, is, like, the spider sense. And it goes
Mm-hmm.
around to, like, the spitball and the fly, like, all slow.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
really, really like this.
That's
and the whole
dope.
fight
That is
scene
cool.
I like, other than the backflip.
I was gonna say I loved the entire fight scene except the backflip. I have that. I have it written down as what the hell backflip.
Hold on, I'm watching. I think it's a
Luke.
triple backflip?
Luke, did you have more to say
might
on
be a
that? I think
double.
you had more. No.
No, I do want to point out that he does crazy triple backflips that, like, no human should do. And all the kids are like, okay, they call him a freak, but then they don't know he's Spider-Man.
You know
well,
what
I guess because he's a teenager.
I
But-
think that I wrote down Matrix fight moves, and this movie only came out 3 years after the Matrix, and there's like
Yeah.
him
It does
doing
seem like it.
thing
He
very
does it.
Matrixy. So I think they were trying to capitalize on that.
It seems like they do that in Amazing Spider-Man also. He literally throws a football, and it damages a goalpost.
And nobody bats
nobody
an eye.
cares.
Okay, I will give it credit that, like, the crowd isn't freaking out that much with the backflip, but there's one person behind Peter once he finishes it, and she looks like her mind just exploded. So,
Okay.
like, I'll that one person seemed like she reacted normally.
Oh, speaking of the people behind him, there's an extra in this movie that you see in like
Yeah, man.
every movie.
Yeah, man, I know.
You know which one I'm talking about? He was also in The Social Network.
Yeah, he has the curly hair.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
And glasses.
He's that guy who was on a Super Bowl commercial one time. It was like GoDaddy or something, and
That was
some
him?
model
It
was
was
making out with
GoDaddy,
him.
yeah.
That's cool.
He's in like every movie.
Yeah, and that was
Wow.
Also, during the fight scene, okay, after he punches Flash, he leaves his arm just standing out there for like entirely too long. He just stands there with his arm extended. It's kind of funny.
I like when
Yeah.
Flash like tries to punch at him and it goes by his eyes and he goes whoa, which is
Whoa,
like totally
that
a
is
Spider-Man comic type of thing.
Yeah.
I like
Yes.
Very
Yes.
cool.
I like
Um,
seeing those videos that puts Tobey Maguire into, like, Winter Soldier.
that. Winter Soldier, yeah, that was a good
and
one.
then, oh, my back. We'll get to that. Spider-Man 2.
Anything else on the Flash fight scene?
No, but when we get
Flash
okay,
flies across the floor, and I like when he flies across the floor, his head hits a teacher, and then the teacher drops his food all over Flash's face, and then Toby just like gets away without getting in trouble.
Okay,
what
the
the-
teacher, the teacher didn't even get hit that hard. It's almost like he was like trying to dump it on him.
Honestly, if I had to
Wouldn't you?
teach Flash, I would too.
yeah, say it as an accident.
And then the next scene is like I'm gonna
Maybe
like
the
fully
most iconic.
discover the extent of my power scene, and I want to
Yeah.
say the wall climbing scene is like the most cool and iconic scene
I like that a
maybe
lot.
out of this whole
Danny
decade.
Elfman was popping off with the music too.
Yeah, I
like that a lot.
Very
I
iconic.
do like that when he looks at his hands, it's like little spider legs coming
like
out
it
of
too. It
like all
explains
the
it a little
pores.
better.
Because it explains it a little bit. In every other thing, it's just like, man, this guy's sticky.
As someone who knows a little bit of the anatomy of spiders, they do have little tiny,
Connoisseur.
they do have little tiny things like that, and that's how they're able to like climb on walls and stuff. So like it's accurate.
And I like it because then it kind of explains like that they go through his suit. I mean, like they don't show that, but you could imply.
Yeah.
But like in any other one, you're just like, is his suit sticky? How is he sticky through it? You know,
How
like,
is he sticky?
They don't explain how the web comes out of his wrist through his like suit, but like
Yeah.
at least they explain like how he's sticky, which I liked.
I like the wall climbing scene a lot.
And then he's jumping from building to building and going and just trying to be as loud as possible to draw attention to himself.
This was super CGI, but I like it. It's
Honestly-
super fun. I think this is a fun scene.
Not
I
that in
think
it was
2002.
I was gonna say I think the CGI in this movie for 2002 actually holds up pretty well.
It looks better than Spider-Man 3 when he fights.
I think the
Blue
only
Goblin.
one that doesn't work is like the float scene, like at the parade.
Yeah,
But
I would
all
agree
of
with
this is good.
Yeah, right. And then
Go
when
web,
he's
go.
I Shazam up and away web.
Up and Away is Superman's,
Yep,
and
yep.
Shazam is obviously like.
It's Shazam.
Well, they weren't allowed to use Shazam's, but it's Captain Marvel's who was Shazam's. Like,
Oh, okay.
Her name was Shazam, but then they copyright and stuff. But apparently that was just him saying things.
Well,
like,
I thought
it was all
Captain
improvised.
Marvel was like some weird thing, whereas like there was a Marvel Captain Marvel, and then there's like a DC Captain Marvel, and then they couldn't call
I think you're
DC
right.
Captain Marvel anymore, and so they had to call it Shazam.
Something like that.
I can't remember. Yeah, I think you're right.
Because it's definitely like two different Captain Marvels. Like the Marvel Captain Marvel is the female like super alien who like is the strongest being in the universe according to the MCU, and like she destroys everything, but she's just not there all the time for a plot device.
And
And,
Captain Marvel is way too OP, but that's a different conversation.
and then Captain Marvel in the DC universe is the little kid who like turns into a grown ass.
So much cooler. So much
yeah.
cooler. I like how he does the like Spider-Man sign, but up, and it doesn't work. Like I like how he tries everything, and I like that it's just the one way because it's iconic, like
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, it
so
is.
I like it.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, I really enjoy that. And then he face plants into a billboard or a wall or something.
And then he's completely fine.
Yep,
When he's
and then
like walking
He's
home.
Spider-Man. He has
I know he's completely
superpowers
fine,
now.
but it cuts to night. I thought that was a quick cut, and I liked it. I did like it. I
I like
liked
the
quick
shot
cut.
of the web catching onto the crane. I thought
That
it
was
looked
cool.
Yes.
It was dope.
And then we get more confirmation that Peter is the worst nephew in the entire world because he made his 104-year-old uncle paint
the entire.
the kitchen
Okay,
himself.
what I do like though is that he doesn't freak out. In Amazing Spider-Man, he freaks out, right? I like that he just said dinner's in the fridge. Like it was
I do
kind of
like
like
that,
he
yeah.
didn't really care. Like it was a nice thing. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that,
mean,
yeah.
I get that you're 68 years old, but you're unemployed now. You got the time.
Okay, so the next scene that I have written down is Peter talks with MJ in the backyard, and it's very much like Hot Rod.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, man.
He's even taking out the trash.
I think Hot Rod was trying to spook
Take
us.
out the
You guys
trash.
Don't like this movie?
Because Hot Rod knows what it's
I
doing.
like this movie. I like.
I give it a 7.6.
I feel like this movie knows what it's doing too, though.
Kind of. I hunch.
What the fuck?
Yeah, she's like, "You're taller than I thought," and he's like, "I hunch." What?
It doesn't make any sense because he never. It's. Oh, I don't like it. I don't like this because we get character development for MJ, right? And I like the character development. We're finally like learning like some shit about her, but then like Peter's just so fucking weird, and like I don't get how
I
they have
like his
any
weirdness,
chemistry.
though.
They don't. It's really weird.
Tony, the weirdness works if she wasn't so into it. It's just, I think it's like an innocence thing because she
Some
lives with
girls
an
are
abusive,
into weird guys,
but
man.
she's like lives with her abusive dad, you know, like verbally abusive, maybe more.
She has daddy issues.
But
Oh.
and so she might be going to like this innocent, but he's so fucking awkward. I don't get it.
He's terrible. So then,
Luke needs to find himself an MJ.
I was going to say that I
It is
relate
Luke. You're right.
to
That's why I
Toby's
hate him
weirdness.
so much. It's Luke.
I was watching the movie, and I was like, holy crap, I'm Tobey Maguire. Even has sticky
no.
hands.
I feel like- Honestly, if you filmed, I'm like not just picking on Luke, but like a lot of guys in high school, if you filmed like just like their most awkward interaction, it could be something just like this.
very
Oh,
true.
mine are probably like
Yeah.
that. Let's be honest.
High school is a weird time.
It's a fucked up time, and we were all Tobey Maguire. We just don't want to admit it.
Oh yeah, for
Everyone
sure.
was Toby
I
Maguire.
still am Tobey Maguire, so I think I will be Tobey Maguire
You look
perpetual.
looks like Matthew McConaughey, acts like Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, yeah, I look like Matthew McConaughey. Did you know?
Explain yourself.
When you say it, it sounds stupid.
Did someone tell you that?
Raquel.
Raquel said she looks like she sent a side by side of a young McConaughey, and it's like the long neck and the hair and.
So I
Luke.
said I'm Luke
Yes.
from Interstellar and Wet Hot American Summer.
Oh, I thought you were gonna like start walking around doing dazed and confused lines like, "I'm just living,
Luke?
man."
I
Luke
just have
has the-
existential crises like True Detective, and that's
Oh,
it.
okay.
Luke has the neck and the hair of Matthew McConaughey, but the face of Candace from Phineas and Ferb.
God.
Oh my god!
I'll be on record as saying that I don't agree.
I'm just kind of confused by it, but I like it.
Candace.
Okay,
Oh,
on to the main topic.
He said he cries like a baby when she performed, but
In
that
the
was
first grade?
That's so
I was
weird.
6, Peter, and he remembers that she was 6.
Yeah,
that also comes back later.
But then how do they not
later
know
in
each
the
other?
movie?
Like,
later in the movie, Aunt May was like, "You were 6, and the first time you saw her, you said, 'Is that an angel?' Just like young Aunt."
Yeah, he is. This whole interaction's so weird because it's like you're gonna light up Broadway, and I cry. He also says he cried like a baby.
I
when
thought
she-
that
it's
was
so
funny
weird.
though. I thought it was funny because like I cried like a baby, and then like Peter, that was first grade, and so he's basically a baby.
True.
Yeah, it's just
I took
weird.
it more as creep.
Yeah, me
Oh,
too.
it's
me
very
too.
creep. And then after he's done being a creep, she goes, because she has daddy issues, she goes and runs
Yes.
off with Flash again.
And it's funny because I think her acting in like these scenes with Tobey Maguire was like, oh, whatever, or like the scenes themselves are just like kind of like more serious ones. And then Flash Thompson's like, hey, check out my new car. And then she like instantly gets happier and she's like, "Whoop, wow, yeah, that's so cool. And then she like runs off with him. And then like it kind of gives a vibe that she's like bored all the time, except for when she's with Flash Thompson, and then she's happy.
I do like that immediately after he tries to go look for a car because that's a very high school thing to do.
It
Yes.
is
So
and that's-
high school thing,
Oh
man.
man, that montage of the suit drying and looking, I
I like
really
that.
like it.
That was
Yes,
childhood.
that
was
is
childhood.
so
That
good.
was
Okay,
That was my favorite
but
childhood
he
moment.
can draw like a motherfucker, and we never get more of this because
Yeah.
he draws it so good. I'm like, dude, he draws Spider-Man perfectly, of course, and you're like, okay, a professional artist did that, but how the fuck did Tobey Maguire, Peter Parker do that?
No idea. It's part
I
of his
hunch.
powers.
Well, he's
Yeah.
kind of artsy, right? He's into photography.
But they should have shown like pictures around his room that he's like established
True.
that he's an artist.
True.
I didn't mind it. I
love the car, like, and there's like the car, like filter around it. Not filter, but like this whole montage that you're talking about. There's like a
Like
car in
fading
the
in and
background
out.
fading in
Yeah.
and out. He literally writes utility belt, crosses it out on the screen. I love this. It's
Yeah.
so silly.
Love
Such
this
a
scene.
good scene. Such a good scene.
And then after that scene, Peter is web slinging in his room, and there's like obvious product placement, and
yeah, baby.
then he shoots a web at the lamp for no reason. He like pulls it back at him like he doesn't know it's gonna shatter behind it.
he
Yeah, that
shatters
was
a
ridiculous.
picture too.
Oh, real quick, there's a black Spider-Man suit that had like red eyes, which is a different one from the comic. So I kind of
Right,
like
right.
that little thrown in there.
Ooh.
It was like
Ooh.
needs more color.
I
what it
recognize
said.
that one from the Spider-Man video game.
Yeah, that was just super cool, kind of thrown in there, like little whatever you call it.
And then in this scene when he's got web all over his room, the interaction between Aunt May
Ooh,
and Peter.
Ooh, I'm
it's-
sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Real quick, he has a Jumanji poster in the back because
Oh, does he
Kristen,
really?
Yeah, Kristen Dunst. I didn't even notice it. So
Yeah.
I
Me
never,
either.
I'm sorry, I have it on right now.
Yeah.
That I just noticed real quick.
The conversation with Aunt May through the door is hilarious because he's locked in his room and she's like, he's acting strange. She's like, what's going on in there? And he's like, I'm not dressed. And it doesn't phase her. And she's not like, oh my God, I'm going to need to change all the sheets. And
Yeah, seriously. And
The
here's
amount
webs
of
in-
webs in his room is gnarly. How did he get rid of them?
no idea. He sucked them back up into his butthole.
That'd be good.
Okay. And then the next really important scene is the Uncle Ben Peter conversation in the car.
Yeah, baby.
And I want to just say, this is where we get the with great power comes great responsibility line.
Yeah, we
But
do.
it kind of comes a little out of nowhere because Uncle Ben doesn't know he has great power. He just knows that Peter won a fight, but
I agree.
Peter's
I
still
agree.
kind of like a wimpy
agree.
schmuck. So it's like, what do you mean great power comes great responsibility? Peter's just kind of a normal dude in your
I
eyes
agree.
still.
I still like that scene a lot. But
Oh,
it was a bit.
Okay,
He's
whoever plays
running
Uncle
around
Ben,
fucking up people though, bro.
whoever plays Uncle Ben does
Guys,
a pretty good
apparently,
job.
apparently
I like
as a
him a
liar,
lot.
it's not a Jumanji poster. I zoomed in and it's not, so I'm a big fat fucking liar.
Oh,
Was
you're
it
a big fat
Sathura?
liar.
A
You're a
Sathura?
big
No,
fat
it
From
has the
years
same
before?
font. It has the same font, but like his head was kind of covering it. It says invasion, but it has the same Jumanji font. It's so the J.
You're a
The I look like
liar.
a J.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I didn't want people to pause and send me hate mail, so I checked.
Well, and now that we know that Mark's a liar, I was saying that I like Uncle Ben's acting. Like he's like seems really sincere, and he's actually like being a good uncle because he's being understanding too, and Peter's like being combative, and Peter just sucks in this scene. He's so just like leave me alone.
This
You're
comes
not
out
my
of
dad."
nowhere too.
What?
This comes
Yeah.
out of
Comes
nowhere
out-
too.
It gives
Yeah.
us one of the most emotional lines in any Spider-Man movie.
He's like, "You're not my father." Lynch, or what was
He
how
says,
does it go?
"I know I'm not your father," and then replies, "Then stop pretending to be."
This is a
that
very
hurt my heart.
good and heartbreaking line It just didn't really make sense to Peter say it at this moment, because he's never really been
Sure,
against
yeah.
Uncle Ben.
It's out of
Yeah.
Like, same thing with Uncle Ben saying great power. It doesn't come from anywhere. If you take that scene, and just that scene, without the context of the movie, it's really good. It just doesn't really make sense here.
Can I also throw in that Uncle Ben is driving the Delta from Evil Dead?
Good.
Good.
I like that.
Good.
That's cool.
My biggest hit pick comes later, and it has to do with...
Yeah, I already know what you're talking about.
Okay, and then so Peter goes to join the cage match. Well, he doesn't know it's a cage match then. The lady signing them in is Octavia Spencer, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
crazy.
And
It was
she
like,
owned that scene, by the way.
she
was very good.
She was in there for, like, I don't know how many seconds, but I liked
Dude,
it
I
a lot.
remembered her from, like, forever ago, because the way she says next, for some reason, it's like, I don't know why, but when we were little, I think she scared me, because she's kind of mean. So she was like, next! I was like, God.
I will say that I'm probably hating because the wrestling match was in
Fuck
the
you.
comics,
Fuck you.
but I don't really like it.
Oh, dude,
Oh
it's
my
silly.
No
Okay,
God,
way.
I love the
No
wrestling
way.
scene.
This is one of the best scenes in the movie to me.
I'm mixed on it. There are things I like and things I
It's
don't
so
like.
good. Bonesaw
There's also-
McGraw, dude,
Bonesaw.
and he's destroying everybody. It's like
That's true.
I think it does like early WWE really well,
Yeah.
and it's just like this like over dramatized, over characterized, like stupid guy, stupid wrestler, but it's like so cool. He's like Bonesaw McGraw, and he's like beating everybody up, and everyone's like, kill him, yeah.
I mean, my biggest hit pick is that Bruce Campbell is in it.
Yes.
And so that's in the wrestling match, so...
Bruce Campbell owns the scene as the... what do you even call that guy? Just the announcer? Yeah. And let me
And the
just
line
say...
he says is so cool too.
Which is...
I was just going to say that the wrestling scene is exactly from the comics. It's obviously different with the cage, but I really like that it's, like, basically the exact same thing.
I
He
also-
says the human
good, that's
spider.
from the
That's all
comics.
you got.
Yeah.
That sucks. And then he changed
yeah.
it to be Spider-Man.
And Bruce Campbell's the reason he's called Spider-Man, which
And
I
I like
love.
that. That's my favorite.
so cool.
That was... I wrote down, the human spider is the worst name ever. Like,
Another,
that was
Yeah.
what you
another,
said.
another example of Peter just being fucking stupid in these movies.
I will say that my biggest flaw in this movie is that there's a homophobic joke in the
Yep.
wrestling match that
So
kind
bad.
of just...
Did not age well.
I agree. It doesn't age well. I heard some people defending it, saying that people online were defending it, saying that like it's because Bonesaw's homophobic, but they're just looking too far into it to try to justify it.
Yeah,
it's just it doesn't need to be in the movie. It's distasteful.
It's a product of its time that
Yeah.
it really doesn't age well. It's like,
and
but-
people defending it are just looking too far into it, trying to
Yes.
find a way, which is like no, they just put it in there because they was trying to offend him.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I wrote down too that Peter is spiteful and doesn't care about right and wrong at this point in the film.
I will say they do
okay,
that. Well,
wait.
kind of. It's worse in Amazing Spider-Man.
It is, but like,
Well, I will
Not
say
my
that
policy.
like I like this entire scene because it adds like a lot of background to Spider-Man. He's just not like some kid who gets superpowers and then blah blah blah. It's like underground wrestling. It's like a cool, edgy thing for him to be. But then he only gets paid what was it like $100 when he's supposed to get
100.
paid 3,000. And then this robber comes in and robs the guy, which is so weird. He just like comes in out of nowhere and robs the guy, and then he's like running away, and then Peter Parker lets him get away.
I will say
I
that's
have
a bit
weird
strange that
feelings.
he robbed a wrestling match
Yeah,
basement.
this is from the comics too, but
So-
Okay.
what's weird about this is like Peter doesn't know his full capabilities. He probably could have stopped him, but the guy's running with a gun out, and like
True.
like for me, if the guy's running with a gun out and it's just money, and he could shoot me
Ka-bam.
if I get in his way, I'd probably just be like, take the fucking money. You
But
know,
I
like
think
I don't
that's like
care.
another thing
So it's
too
like,
about it, right?
they
Is
should have
it's
maybe had
just
him-
money.
They should
And
have
it's
had the gun out or something like that, where it's like easier to stop him, but he's just being spiteful.
Mark, I'm on
some
board.
other guy's money too.
I'm on board with you on that. I don't think he should have stopped him, but it was the line he says later when he was like, "Not my problem."
I kind of like it.
I missed the part.
See,
I missed the
I
part
missed the
where
part-
that's my problem.
So if he
I
would have just
love
been
that
like, "I'm not
line.
going to stop him. I'm not going to get killed for you," like that's
No,
different
I
than being
love that
spiteful.
line.
I-
love
I
that
agree he's being
line.
spiteful. Yeah, it's like if he didn't run with the gun out, it would have made more sense too. If it was just like
Yeah,
but the gun
because-
for me, I'd be like, oh, dude, I'm not gonna die for your money, especially
The-
after you fuck
It's
Dude.
kind of like, just like any situation when there's like an armed robber and like you're a cashier, right? You're just gonna give
Yeah.
him the money and let him go away because like no human life is worth like what thousands, like low thousands of dollars, even high
A
thousands of dollars.
wrestling.
Dude,
But it's like, who cares? He got away. It doesn't really matter.
the
end
cop
of it,
says
except
something
for,
that
you know,
no
Uncle Ben.
cop. The cop says something that no cop would ever say either. He says, and I quote, "What the hell is wrong with you? You let him go. Or you let him get away."
They
No
would never
cop
want
in their
you to.
right mind would ever say that. They'd be like, "Get
No,
out of the
they
way.
would
Let
say
him go."
yes.
Yeah.
See, that's what's weird. Real quick,
Also-
I have some hit picks in the wrestling scene
Yeah, yeah,
before that. The girls who were like yelling at him when he was walking down scared the shit out of me as a kid because he was
Yeah,
like screaming in
yeah,
his ears.
yeah. Big.
I like how they like roll the guy out on the stretcher right in front of him. He's like, "Oh,
Oh, my
God.
knee!
Oh
My knee!
no,
My
Just,
knee!
like, to scare him.
No, who's saying my knee? Who's saying my knee?
That was me. Was it my leg?
It was my legs. I can't feel
Tony's
my
the
legs.
Vietnamese knees himself. He knows what the line is.
Oh,
He's like, I can't feel my legs.
can I say a nitpick real quick?
Yeah.
So it's kind of tied to something later, but he makes his suit later, like with ease. So why is he basically wearing pajamas in this scene?
Yeah, I agree with that. That's another nitpick of mine that we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah.
Because he used the $100 he got to make the suit better.
He made that with $100. He should open a business.
Yeah, that's insane. One more hit pick real quick in the wrestling scene was like the first person shots of him kicking at the camera when it was hitting Bonesaw. I thought
Yeah.
were kind of cool shots.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay, we could go back to where we were at.
Okay.
How far away was Uncle Ben's car from the WrestleMania place?
Was he right in front of it?
See, that doesn't make any sense because the library's all the way across the street. Why would he be right?
Why would he be? And why would the guy go for his
Well,
car
wasn't
and not
that
a
the
car
same-
sooner?
I thought that was the same spot, except a little bit upwards of where he dropped him off.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense because
It was like where he dropped him off, except a little bit further up.
But don't you think in New York that there'd be
more
a closer
cars.
car that he could try to rob?
You would think.
Yeah.
Sure.
But Spider-Man 3, gives more
Don't
context.
even.
Don't even.
No
We'll
future,
get that
no
later.
future
It's
spoilers.
terrible.
Don't even get into
Okay.
it.
I will say, when Ben is dying, I thought the acting was really good, and then
Yeah.
when he actually
It was so
dies, I was
sad.
like, it was kind of just like a. I was like, oh, okay,
I kind of liked
so
that
sad.
all he said was Peter. Like, he didn't...
yeah.
Like,
His
say
acting
lines.
is good.
I
Yeah.
loved that. That he
And
couldn't
I-
even
I
get
liked it.
anything out. Like
I liked
a lot
that.
of death scenes are like, oh, I'm gonna tell you something, and it's gonna be like super impactful and stuff. Or like the Peter is like, oh, I'm gonna apologize for like the mean things I said, but then like there's no like all he gets to say is Peter, and then he dies. So there's like no like closure for him.
True, true.
Which is
I
why
like
he
that.
goes after him, which I kind of like too.
Yeah.
But we do get a really good Spider-Man meme of him crying. The ugly
Okay,
crying,
I
which is
was-
ugly crying #1 in this series.
I was gonna say Toby's crying never seems realistic, and his face is always really ugly when he does it.
It's really ugly anyway. Okay, that's just kind of mean. Never mind.
Anywho,
Rude.
so when he's chasing the carjacker, he just is like
He's
learning,
sprinting down the alley.
Yeah.
I love it.
and he's just learning how to like swing with his webs, right? But then when he gets to like the abandoned building, he's like hanging upside down from it, and all of a sudden he's like an
Yeah.
expert. I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, I agree. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but we also get some CGI of him crawling up the walls, which I like. It
Yeah.
looks. I think
Me
this movie's
too.
like this part's sweet.
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
upside down doesn't make sense yet, but
Yet.
like I think it looks awesome. And this whole chase scene is where I'm just like, fuck yeah, this movie is like totally 2002, but it was the perfect time to make this movie.
The
It wouldn't work now.
silhouettes in the background are really cool.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you only see his shadow. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And what I like about it is you have the superhero who has the powers of a spider. Like use it in like a creepy way sometimes, you know? Like in the scene, use it where like he's like you see his shadow and he's like crawling around on the walls and like he's hanging behind you and like do like creepy stuff like that. I think that's cool.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of Amazing Spider-Man, which is it's just like a unique way they use Spider-Man, was like he crawls around Lizard like a spider, which is like never done in anything else. You guys remember that?
Yes.
I really like that scene because it's just a unique way to do something. Same thing with like the shadows and making it creepy, like creeping up on him. I really like it.
Especially especially when you have like 9 movies or however many it was, like do something unique with it, you know?
For sure.
And they did for this scene.
And then Okay, so when he is like face to face with the guy and the guy falls out the window, right?
Okay, he murders this guy. This
He-
is murder.
It's at least manslaughter.
He murked
Yeah,
this
no
guy,
wonder
and
why
no
the
one
police
cares.
want to go get him.
Okay, but here's the thing: he's looking out the window. The police have their spotlight trained on him. The other people are coming up, and then all of a sudden he's gone. How did nobody see him like crawl out or something? Like everyone
He's
was looking at
Spider-Man,
him.
He
baby.
can do whatever a spider can, Matt Beef.
Oh, you're right. So he crawled through a crack. Okay.
But like, he's totally unfazed by killing this guy. I know he just killed Uncle Ben, but it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. He
Based
should have
on-
like,
Based on how creepy he is, I think that's not the first person he's killed.
yeah, seriously. And the way he looks at him when like he's like doesn't even care, and then he like goes and sits on like a balcony or whatever and cries.
He's just like, I like to watch the light go out of their eyes.
I know he likes it. But I'm like, he basically murdered this guy.
Yeah.
Like it's
Oh, yeah.
his fault that he's dead, and then when it's especially retconned later, it's even worse. You know, so it's just like this is weird.
And then the next scene is
Okay.
where they're testing
Yes.
new like armored weapons, and it's the generals that were talking at Oscorp earlier.
Hold on. When he goes home and hugs Aunt May, he puts his hands like on her hips almost at first before he hugs her.
Ew,
a little bit
really?
weird.
I didn't even
Yeah.
notice.
It's a little
Strange.
bit, like,
Ew.
yeah, I'm like, ooh, Aunt May.
Maybe I didn't.
Whoa, if it was
mention
Marissa
that.
Tomei,
No,
it makes
it's
sense.
better
If it
than
was
it's
Marissa
not. It's like
Tomei,
he
it
likes
makes
the older.
I was gonna say that. So like the first half of this movie, I enjoyed. I think the last half is why I rated it low, like a hater, because this is where you get to MJ always needs a guy,
Yep.
and then Green
Yeah, I
Goblin.
hate that. I hate her.
And Green Goblin, kind of like I liked all the scenes where he's like split personality. I liked that a lot, but then I don't really understand what he's doing.
Yeah.
So-
Aw, Green Goblin's cool, man.
So when he blows up, like, and kills the general and all those people,
I hate the scene. I actually
I don't
hate the
like
scene.
that scene. It goes way too quick. It just kind of
and
happens.
also though, like it's another part where he
I kinda like
clearly
this scene.
everyone knows he kind of has bad blood with that general because he like denied him funding. How is he not a suspect? He's building weapons that
I
could
know.
have done that.
I know.
I think it's so funny. I think the fact that it's short and happens so quick, I thought it was funny. He's like, oh, hey, we're testing. Oh my god, it explodes. Oh, shit. Yeah.
So I think it works with showing short for the Green Goblin part of it because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, Green Goblin, don't show him a lot. But the problem is, it cuts immediately to his graduation. So
Yep.
the scenes in order are crying Uncle Ben died, Green Goblin
Yeah.
real quick, he's
And then happy
graduating and
graduation.
happy, and it's like
And then
the
sad.
pacing's like bad
That's-
here.
that's why I
Like,
mentioned
they need
pacing right
more-
here.
They
That's
need
true.
more in between with like the Green Goblin stuff. I also just hate the way the thing looks that goes and flies in the air that the Goblin kills. I don't know. It
looks-
looks stupid.
It looks like Obadiah Stane from.
Dude, totally, totally. Nice call. That's a good one.
When they cut back, like after the graduation, and like he's like
It
back
did have
home.
a cool transition. It did have
It
a cool
did,
transition.
and then has I just wrote bad Peter crying scene. Where you just like pan around him as he does this fake crying that looks really bad.
See, another thing where it's like he's crying again. Put this scene maybe before the graduation.
Before the
I don't know.
graduation.
Like,
Yeah.
it's weird.
At the graduation, Flash and Mary Jane break up, and Harry
And then Harry
Harry swoops.
becomes her next
swoops
boyfriend.
in.
Yep.
He swoops in.
James Franco is such an interesting choice. I want to be in that room and just like, what did he do in his fucking audition to get him this role?
When did he play James Dean in that movie about James Dean? It might have been right before this, so they saw him and were like,
Dude,
"Ooh, he's like
yeah.
moody. Let's get him."
Dude, he's worse in the sequels too. Oh my god, he's bad.
do you remember when he
Wait,
just
oh, Spider-Man
disappears at the
3.
cafe? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh god, don't even. Okay, we'll get there.
Okay. And then this is where I bring up that Peter makes the suit so fast, and it's like I don't even know
But
how he did that.
controversial, maybe my favorite suit in any live action.
I do like his suit. It is a good
As
suit.
controversial, but I might agree with you.
My-
I like it.
Honestly,
I used
maybe
it in the
Amazing
video game.
Spider-Man 2. Amazing
Ama-
Spider-Man
yeah,
2
okay.
and this are the two best. I think.
Amazing Spider-Man 1 has like the worst suit.
I agree. The eyes were a little funky.
Controversial opinion. I hate the suit, but I like it because it's more realistic
Okay.
for him making it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a basketball. Okay.
I'll agree, but it feels like what you would like a full first comic would be. Is
I
that,
I like
and
his
so
pajama suit that he wore to the wrestling match.
I think he should have kept that.
Yeah, he should have kept that.
the suit
I-
is pretty iconic here. I really like the suit though.
I
it's
like the Tom
stupid that he made
Holland.
it. But I really like it.
I like that Tom Holland suit is like the comics with the little spider.
I like the eyes too because you can
And the
have
eyes.
express. But I really like the.
But I
the way
like this
works.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe childhood
Tom
nostalgia
Holland's
too.
Tom Holland's Spider-Man suit is like so futuristic in like a weird kind of way, though.
I like that they tried something different though.
I agree because we've had too much of the same. But I will agree with you, Tony. Like I really like the simplicity of this one.
It doesn't capture the classic Spider-Man.
Okay.
I can feel that.
You know what the next scene is? The introduction of the greatest character in the entire movie, J. Jonah Jameson Jr.
Yeah, baby.
He's so good. He's
And
so good at it.
one of the first lines we hear is someone telling him, "Your wife's on line 1," and he picks the phone and hangs it up.
I love him. I love him so much.
J.K. Simmons is the S.
Iconic.
Like everyone who hates Spider-Man 3 is like, at least he was in it. Like that's like the
Yeah.
one thing saving that movie. It's just like his 2 scenes because he's so good.
Has the craziest haircut and mustache I have ever seen.
Yes.
Oh my god, dude, he's so like the like I know I'm not the biggest comic fan, but I was reading the one. He's like literally the embodiment of what you would think, and I think that's why so many people liked him. And then he's also just owning it. Like he's
Future-
going so
Yeah.
much into it. I love it.
He's so
Future
good.
Oscar winner, J.K. Simmons.
I know,
Dude,
but he should have
he
won
is-
it for this. This is incredible.
Scary. Yeah. Scarier than in this than Whiplash? Yeah?
Oh
No?
my
Oh,
god.
yeah. Oh, yes.
Isn't the background assistant? Is it Ted Raimi or is that the?
Yes, it is Ted Raimi.
Yes. Yes. Did he help write Army of Darkness? Was that him?
Did he write it?
If he did, then he's a fucking G.
He's also in Ash vs. Evil Dead at one point.
Nice.
I'm gonna rewatch those movies.
I wanted to point out, too, there is an underutilized Elizabeth Banks in this movie, and this is
Very
where she
much
shows
Yes,
up.
Underutilized.
I wanted to talk about her character real quick because she was like that character was like Peter's first girlfriend
Okay.
in the comics, Betty, and her character in the new ones is the blonde one that Ned got with in Far From Home.
Oh, no way, really?
really?
Yes, that's Betty.
Yes.
So they went that way with their character. So I really like that it's the same character, totally
didn't know
different.
that.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's her, and it was his first girlfriend. But I like that none of these have her as the girlfriend. So I think it's
I like that there's like a subtle nod to like their relationship when Peter's talking to her, but then he like ruins it by being like
He's
super
so
awkward.
awkward.
And he's like,
It's-
"I'm a photographer."
Yeah.
I can see that.
it is
Yeah.
I'm
weird.
Peter Parker. I'm a photographer.
It is weird, but I like that. Like, it might be a little bit subtle. Like, maybe when he was younger in high school, they kind of knew each other, and she graduated sooner. Something
or
like
he
that.
knew her
Yeah,
and she
maybe.
didn't
Yeah.
know him.
But
I
it's
kinda
cool.
like that.
I think that it's a nod to it. She's like, "Welcome to blah blah blah."
Oh, speaking of nods, there's just a throwaway line where Jameson says Eddie's been on it for weeks. And it's the first time Eddie Brock's name is dropped in the whole
Yes, I like this.
Topher Grace is in the war.
So they had that
Yes.
in there from the beginning, and I was like, "Oh,
That's
cool.
cool.
I didn't know
That's
that
cool.
before."
Yeah, this is I really like that. I mean, and then it ends up being Topher Grace, so it's a little bit stupider.
Okay, Topher Grace was fine as Eddie. He was bad as Venom.
Yeah, yeah. The voice, like,
What about-
oh god.
What about the
Different-
random? There's like some random line where like they're talking. J. Jonah Jameson is talking with Peter Parker about like him not being able to be an employee, and then he says like, "The best I can do for you is meat. I could get you Christmas
Oh,
meat.
we'll get to that. I have that written
Yeah.
down.
It's the best I can offer you."
I'll send you a nice bucket of Christmas meat.
I wanted to say before we go, I'm sorry. The Ivan Raimi wrote Army of Darkness with Sam, and he's the older brother of Sam.
How
and
many
Ted.
are there?
I don't know.
As many as there are of us,
Oh, okay, that makes
probably.
sense.
Um,
Wait, so Ted Raimi doesn't do anything and just kind of stands in the background? So he's Luke. He's the
he's
Luke
an
of
actor,
us.
yeah. He's
Let's say, does he have the face that looks like Candace?
weirdest comp I've ever heard. The next
But it's true.
scene is where MJ's walking out of a diner because she's working there, and Peter is most definitely stalking her
Following
again.
her. And
And
she doesn't really, yeah.
bumps into him.
But he's not
Yeah,
because
yeah.
his eyes go wide because he didn't know. So he's actually not.
That's
It was
true. He's
coincidence.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, see,
He follows her
basically-
later when he takes 2 buses and a taxi to get to the city.
in
that
this,
was
yeah,
when he
yeah,
followed
yeah,
her.
yeah.
This
in this
wasn't.
in the small town of New York City, he just happens to run into his crush.
Put some respect on his name. He's Spider-Man.
So
He's goddamn Spider-Man, Matt.
okay,
Topher Maguire.
First off-
Topher Maguire.
Tobey Maguire.
Topher Maguire Spider-Man.
So first off, they just stop and talk in the middle of the street. For what?
Well,
Yeah, that was-
he's
I thought she
Spider-Man.
crossed the street and she was on his sidewalk.
They weren't on the sidewalk. They
It's
were
like where people would parallel
cars
park.
park.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
okay.
still in the street.
I think it's a
Fine,
weird blocking
yeah.
issue. I think they probably
Yeah.
needed the camera and the set to
Yes.
like. I feel this way.
I do enjoy. There's a whole "Don't tell Harry" thing that comes back
that
later.
comes back.
That goes
I think it's
like,
strange.
It is strange.
I think it's
didn't-
strange that Green Goblin says that.
But MJ is dating
Kinda makes
him.
sense.
MJ
Yes.
is dating Harry, and like, don't tell him about my job. Like, okay,
Don't
guys,
tell
tell him
Harry
about my
was
job
strange.
with
I
the
don't. I hate
diner.
that. I hate that.
Yeah,
I
I
also
never.
hate that.
Like
I
it.
never knew that like that line was said before Goblin says it later. So I was like, oh, what? They dropped that earlier. So it was.
But
I
it's
also
not
didn't
really a
notice till this
callback if a
time.
different person says it is.
That's fair.
Yeah.
His flirting in this scene is the cringiest thing
Agreed.
in the world, and he says something. He says, "Harry doesn't live on a little place I like to call Earth," and that is the worst line I've.
I
That's
like
not the worst line in the movie, but it's pretty bad.
I like
like
it.
it.
Ironically, it's stupid. It's like
It's
who cares?
dumb, but it kinda
the
is
whole
dumb
the
to
whole
point
scene
across.
is bad. So who
It-
cares?
yeah.
True.
Oh, in the next scene, when Harry's talking to Peter, I don't know. Okay, is Peter lying when he says Dr. Connors fired me?
I don't know.
Okay, so this one's weird because I think he's telling the truth, but then it's different in the sequels. It's like it's almost retconned in the
Because
sequels. So
in
it's-
Spider-Man
it's a-
2, isn't
Yeah.
Kurt Connors his professor?
It is. And
Yeah.
Tony, Kurt Connors is the Lizard in Amazing Spider-Man. So that's a callback to him because
That's-
they show him in Spider-Man 2 and he only has one arm.
Wasn't so when Spider-Man 4 was still supposed to be a thing? Wasn't it going to be Vulture and Lizard?
I
Was
think
Kurt
so,
Connors
but
gonna
apparently
be-
he wanted to do one of them for Spider-Man 3 and they were like, "No, you have to do Venom." And so like I
see.
think he wanted to do Sandman and like I don't know. But yeah, he wanted to do them at some point, but then it got scrubbed.
I see.
Well, anyway, it was weird because I didn't know if he was just like lying to cover where he was and that he was talking to MJ or if it was real. 'cause
Yeah,
it's
they
a name
definitely
drop,
talk
but-
in the second one as if he's just a student. So I
Exactly.
don't understand. He must have been lying. Oh, I bet. You know what it was? He was probably saying he had an internship with Dr. Connors so that he could go be Spider-Man. It's that whole like Stark internship. It's
Yeah,
just not
okay.
super explained well.
It wasn't. But then we cut back to the Daily Bugle again, and J. Jonah Jameson's still a gem. But nobody questions how Peter can get such good pictures of Spider-Man. They're like right
Yeah.
up in
They
his
don't.
face.
It's amazing pictures of Spider-Man.
It doesn't make any sense, but I like it because it's like from the comic. Like, I
Yeah.
like it. It's silly, but like he says that they're friends, so he's letting him. So I guess it kind of explains it. But you would suspect him number one. So
There's a good interaction where J. Jonah Jameson is like, "These are crap. I'll give you $200." And then Peter kind of calls his bluff and was like, "All right, I'll take them back." And he's like, "Fine, sit down. 300." I was like, "Ah, that's a good scene."
there's another
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
another one like that in Spider-Man 2 we'll talk about in a couple weeks. That was really
And then there's the whole, "I'll send you a nice bucket at Christmas meat." That's where that comes from.
Favorite line of the film.
And then awkward interaction that we already talked about with Elizabeth Banks.
This was the year after Wet Hot.
Oh, was it really?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh,
So
God.
she might not have been big. That's why she wasn't really utilized. Because
Probably.
But yeah.
And then, so that's pretty much all that happens there. And then we see a boardroom meeting at Oscorp where they say, "We're going to sell the company after the not Macy's Day Parade." I don't even know what the parade is for, but
Unity Day.
what is that?
Unity Day.
Either way, he has a freak out when they say they're going to sell after the parade. And then the
I-
goblin shows up at the parade and nobody's like, "Do you think that's Norman?"
I kind of.
Dude,
I'm not gonna say this is a con. I kind of like so. The TV show Succession is all about that, basically,
Okay.
with companies selling and there's so much that goes into it, and they're just kind of like, yeah, no,
It's
goodbye.
But they've been doing it behind his back, that's why.
It isn't as simple as a board just being like,
It's
"We're
a
gonna
kid's movie, Luke. You want to see this?
That's why I'm saying it's not a con. I just was like, oh, I see.
Okay. I have a lot of thoughts about the parade scene too.
Okay.
So the goblin attacks that day.
I don't like the
Norman-
music playing. Sorry.
I think apparently it was somebody who was like a big artist at the time who was kind of like a one-hit wonder because I
Okay.
didn't recognize them. But
I didn't like it.
I didn't know.
MJ is wearing very culturally appropriated Chinese garb.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's real bad.
Yeah.
And her and Harry have like no chemistry. So I don't know if she has chemistry with anyone in the movie.
Not her fault. Not her fault.
Not her fault.
Not her fault.
Because we've seen her in Fargo with Jesse Plemons.
Oh
Mwah.
gosh.
And they're married in real life though, so they
Yeah.
do have chemistry.
Yeah, and you can tell, like, because they're really good off each other. So
My question when Goblin is attacking is if he has bombs that can disintegrate people, why doesn't he always?
into skeletons. Into
By the way,
skeletons.
that was
Yeah.
Army of
That's so
Darkness if I've ever
cool.
seen it.
Yeah.
I love how cheesy that is. That
I
is one
know.
of those cheesy things I absolutely love. But I agree, he should use those with every single person all the time.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so when Peter's like, "Oh, I got to be Spider-Man," he's running through the crowd and he opens up his shirt to show
Superman
the Spider-Man
style.
symbol
God,
in front
yeah.
of everyone. How does nobody
Yeah.
be like?
I know everyone's
"Is that
panicking,
just
but
like
they would
the
see. They
Yeah.
would see though.
It is a cool scene because it's like Superman, but like
It's
everyone
literally
would
only
see
to
you.
like do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And the quickest Stan Lee cameo in existence.
yeah.
no,
so-
it's shorter in Spider-Man 2.
Oh, is it really?
Is
It is. Yep.
When did Fantastic Four come out?
2004?
Five.
Okay, because that's when he was like the mailman and he actually had speaking lines,
Yeah.
I believe. I think this was like the first one that were there like, hey, can you come in there because you made the comics?
Oh, because yeah, in Spider-Man 3, which is 2007, he had a full line, so like a monologue
and-
basically.
The dumbest kid in the world is at this parade, and he just stands there as he's about to
No,
be
Matt,
crushed.
the dumbest kid in the world is the one in Amazing Spider-Man 2 to face the Ryan.
Yes, I know.
No, okay, never mind. The second dumbest kid in the world is
Thank
at this
you.
parade.
I thought it was a dumb kid too.
Yeah.
It's like really stupid, but I kind of understand where like in a situation you would like freeze.
Yeah, but he didn't look panicked at all. He just kind of looked like, what?
That's
He
true.
looks dead inside.
Yep, and he probably is.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know if you have any more before this, but when MJ is swinging with Peter, there's this really bad shot where it's clearly like a Spider-Man mannequin with his arm out because he doesn't move at all, and her hair is blowing the wrong way in the wind.
I didn't even notice.
I did
that.
not notice. I
The
did
only
not
the only reason I've noticed is because I've seen people bring it up before, but once you see that, you like can't unsee it. You're like, that's clearly a dummy, and it's
Oh
not
yeah, I
actually
just saw
Spider-Man.
his head is like moving with his arm, like it's not moving.
Yeah.
Real quick at like the parade, I liked like Spider-Man fell at one point on the ground and he like flipped around really quick.
Oh,
and,
I
like,
remember
there's
that.
also a
Yeah.
scene where he like goes up against the wall and he like flips around. And when he dives off to save MJ, he like puts his hands up like a diver, like a swimming diver, and then jumps off like he's like diving into water. It's so stupid, but it worked.
When he saved MJ, I have in my notes. Good thing this isn't Andrew Garfield.
Oh shit! Don't even. God. Snap.
Okay. How does MJ not recognize Peter's voice when they're talking later? He doesn't disguise it at all. She's been talking to him recently, and he says the same kind of dumb, corny shit that he says to her normally. So how is she not like Peter?
MJ
well, that's
MJ
like-
is just I don't know what she is in this movie. She's definitely not a person.
A dunce?
Yeah.
not a dunce.
That's also
A
like
dunce.
good one.
any like superhero thing though. You
Yeah.
could almost say that about any.
That's fair.
I'll agree. I do wish he would have changed it a little bit, but maybe it's just like it's that whole thing with Clark Kent. There's no way he could be it. It just sounds like him.
Well,
Like,
also okay.
There's a Superman. Apparently, I was listening to a podcast. They were talking about this. There's a Superman, like comic or show where they mentioned it, and every time someone kind of sees him, they're like, "Hey, man, you look like Spider-Man, or you look like Superman." Like where they just say it to him because it's not
You
like
look like
because he's
Spider-Man.
like he has glasses on and he's just like a normal guy. So like,
Yeah.
dude, you totally look like him. Like, so they acknowledge it. They just never suspect it's
Right.
actually him.
I like that.
Okay, so at
like
this
it too.
parade scene, did you also notice that Harry got hit in the head with like a slab of concrete the size of a pumpkin, and then in the next scene he has like one band-aid and just a little scratch. Like
He should have had amnesia. Am I right, boys?
he should have had like a caved-in
yeah.
skull.
Oh, that's good.
And I don't know if you guys noticed that Peter sits like an absolute tool in the chair in this scene. He's like sitting on the side of it, like the chair is open, but he's like sitting on the side of it with
Yeah.
his feet in the chair. It's really
I
weird.
also noticed that.
I did not.
He's doing like a Spider-Man type of like pouncing pose.
Yep.
It
And
is.
Harry,
That's what I thought, to be honest.
Harry is a dick to MJ on the phone, which continues his.
I like his
trend.
little band-aid for that concrete slab. It's like a small band-aid on his temple.
Yep. And that scene is kind of useless, except to show that MJ
She likes
and
Spider-Man now.
Yeah, MJ and Harry are on the rocks.
Yeah, but Harry totally left her on that ledge. So like,
He got knocked out like a pussy.
well, like I think he saw her down there and then got knocked out, didn't he?
Oh, that's
like,
true.
He didn't
He
jump
kinda,
down
like,
and try
backed
to
away.
get her.
Yeah,
it was
Okay, the next scene where Norman is talking to the goblin in the mirror is amazing.
I like
yes,
that's
I
my
love
favorite
this.
scene.
That is so
That's my
good.
favorite.
It's so good.
Best part. That
It's
was good.
so comic booky. I love it.
And
Yeah.
that I like that part a lot.
Defoe owns it, dude. So, like, you know how
owns
everyone
it.
seems like they don't want to be here? Mm-hmm. He wanted
He
it
won.
so bad that he, like, they said the studio didn't want him or something, and he, like, just sent in an audition anyway, and then kept, like, calling Sam Raimi. Like, it was stuff like that where he was like, and then he was like, I know you guys killed me off, but if I could come back in any way, I want to be in this. And so, like, there's flashback scenes, like, reshot, like, new scenes in Spider-Man 2 and
Nice.
3, like, because he just loved it so much. I'm like, yes, he's
I
fucking
like
owning
Willem
it,
Dafoe.
and I love that
That's
he wants to be in
great.
it. Yeah.
He's my
That's
favorite
great.
part of the movie. But
How could you hate
And
this
J. Jonah
movie
Jameson.
after that? How could you hate this
Dude,
movie after
like,
that?
that's what's so great about him. I just wish he had a little bit more sympathetic as a character, but he owns the performance.
True. So now the next scene, they're back at the Daily Bugle, and J. Jonah Jameson is trying to make out Spider-Man to be a villain, which is a trend that will continue. And this is where it starts.
Yes.
And there's a great interaction where Peter says, "That's slander," and Jameson goes, "It is not. I resent that. Slander is spoken. In print, it's libel." So he's like,
Yes.
not denying that it's libel, but he's like, "Get it right.
Yeah.
I'm lying in print."
He's so good. God, he just owns it. And then he's bouncing off Tobey Maguire, and they cut, and it's like, how are you guys even in the same movie?
I think I laughed out loud when he says, "You don't trust anyone." He goes, "I trust my barber," and then I just looked at his haircut and I laughed so hard.
I also love when he throws out his cigar, and it just flies back in because of. I love how Goblin just caught it. It was just like,
he
fling
caught
back
it
at
and
him. I
then
love that. Just threw it back at him.
Oh,
So
okay,
good.
and Jameson proves that he's a real one because he doesn't give up Peter. He's like, "Who takes a picture
Yeah.
of Spider-Man?" And he
Yeah, he
lied.
does
He was
not.
like, "They just get sent in the mail." I was like, "You're a real
That's
one."
true.
It's one of
Jonah
those
for
like
the win.
he's a douche, but then like he's actually not a bad guy. Like
Yeah, he'll protect
you
him.
show like your true colors, and he's actually nice. And then I like how Spider-Man webs his mouth right here too.
Yep. Okay, wait.
Yeah.
How does
Yeah.
Peter get outside and changed without
he's
anyone
Spider-Man.
He
seeing
can do
him?
anything a spider can.
Oh, I keep
Have you not seen
forgetting.
Spider-Man 2?
Spider-Man.
I keep forgetting.
Matt, if your tarantula changed clothes when you were sleeping, would you notice?
It probably
No.
does.
No.
Okay, when the Goblin takes Peter and they're like on that roof,
he slaps him in the head.
he slaps him in the head, and then the whole scene, the Goblin is standing like he's pooping his pants.
So one thing
Hey,
I
kid.
like, one thing I like about this is the fact that you could see his eyes. The things come down. You could see his eyes, so it's more Willem Dafoe. I just would have liked this performance if it was just him.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, most definitely.
But he also apparently did 90% of the stunts himself. And so
Willem
he
Dafoe
would,
for the
Willem
win.
Dafoe wanted to do. He said, "I want to do all the stunts myself."
I love
he's
this
such,
man.
He's such a guy. I love him. And apparently the suit was like 580 pieces, so it took like over half an hour to put on or something. Just every piece of it, and he just
Oh my
was like,
God.
he wanted it because he liked it so much. So I like that.
Yeah.
I just like, so I like that you can see his eyes. Give it more Defoe.
Oh yeah, dude. Okay, and then we get to where Peter is like a legit stalker, and
Oh,
he
yes.
admits it to MJ because he's like, "I took a
Yes.
bus and whatever to
Two
get over here."
buses and a taxi.
Yep. And this is an iconic scene too. And
Well, I was gonna get before that. I was
Okay,
gonna
what was-
say I thought it was funny because she's like she auditioned for something and then she didn't get it, and then she said they said I needed acting lessons.
Ooh.
Oh, sick burn.
Which is should have said that to Tobey Maguire, but it's so weird. It's
roasted.
so weird because like then she did get acting lessons and she acts on the next movie and on
Yeah.
Broadway. Like what
and
the
then,
fuck?
but then
Was
they
that
tell
in
her
the
she
next movie or
sucks.
3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we'll get into that. But the fact
Okay,
that she sucks at singing in 3, why didn't she just go back to acting? She was successful enough to start singing. If they hate her singing, just start acting again. What the fuck? Okay, never mind. That's 3. That's 3. That's different times.
Spider-Man 3.
One of my comments on this, the fight in the alley scene is, it must be cold in that alley. Because
Yeah, they really
they really
put
did
him up,
MJ
like,
dirty.
That was
during that scene.
Whoa,
messy.
excuse me, kids movie,
That's what,
kids
like,
movie.
they
We can't talk about that.
You can tell that they intentionally didn't have her wear a bra for it. Though.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like. It's like, okay, you could tell the costume department or whoever was like, don't do it. It's just weird.
It looks like a fembot from Austin Powers with the.
It's just, I hate that it's totally intentional.
I want to ask: does Peter always wear his suit underneath his normal clothes?
Yes.
Because he's
does.
Of course,
He's-
he's Spider-Man.
Nah, he's Spider-Man.
Okay, he took the time to take his normal clothes off, so he could have taken 2 seconds to put on his mask, but he chooses to fight without his mask. In
Yeah,
the
that
alley.
was stupid.
Yeah, I agree. I was like, what?
he does like a double back punch and they fly through the windows. That was sick. That was
That's good.
sick.
That's good.
was
That's good.
Wait, also, it takes him literally 2 seconds to then put on his mask, which he should have just done before, because it's like
Yep.
immediately he comes down with
Yeah.
the mask on.
I also want to say for either the third or fourth time that MJ's kind of a floozy. Like she's so quick.
I hate that they don't give her any like justice.
any character
It's-
like and all.
She likes
I think,
Peter, but she's dating Harry, but she likes
then she's in
Spider-Man,
love
but she
with
was dating
Spider-Man.
Flash, but then she's like, and then it's same thing in like the sequels. I'm like, what are you trying to portray here?
Yeah,
Like,
I was gonna say they had 3 movies to get it
I know
better,
it's like
and they don't
give the woman character like. Make her independent, like Gwen Stacy. She's independent
Yes,
and a
yes.
badass and wants to be there and not going around to different guys all the time, like two-timing everybody.
Yep.
And it's just like, what are you trying to portray here? I don't like it.
Did you notice how much the veins on Tobey Maguire's neck were standing out because he was hanging upside
I
down for way too
did.
long?
I like
I did.
I like that he actually did
Crazy.
it. Like, they actually kissed in the rain and he had trouble breathing because it'd go up his nose and shit. I like it.
Yeah, real
But
dedication to the craft.
iconic scene.
Very
Almost
iconic,
the
yeah.
most iconic scene.
Yep.
This was what was on the back cover of our
Yes, it
VHS.
is.
This
Yes,
scene.
it was.
Not even like the crawling up the wall.
What
It was
a
that-
great scene.
So yeah, great scene.
but it-
More bras
because-
needed.
Yeah,
More bras and more character
more character
development.
development.
Yeah.
After this, we get into my favorite scene.
Oh, the building fire.
I loved the building fire.
I
Dude, the
get
scream
confused.
is maybe the best thing in any movie ever.
Before the scream, there's a lady outside who says, "My baby's in there. Why the fuck are you outside?"
Okay,
then?"
I have
Like,
Very.
irresponsible mother leaves baby in burning building.
Or she,
Yeah.
so it's either she left to go do an errand and left her kid at home alone,
Her
and is just
baby.
coming back,
Her baby
or she
alone.
left and was like, "Oh fuck, I have a baby up there."
Yep, bad either. way.
Or maybe the husband was up there with the baby and the husband burnt to a crisp, but she only cares about the baby.
True, but one of these firefighters looks like John Bernthal, so
Really? I didn't even notice.
he looks like the one that's standing right next to the bad mom.
Oh man.
Okay, wait,
Oh.
so this happens, and then the police come, and they're gonna stop Spider-Man, but they hear a scream coming from up there, and then Spider-Man's like, I have to go save them, and then the cop's like, I'll be here waiting for you when you get back, and he's like, I won't be back, and then he goes up there, and he's in this building fire, he's searching for the scream. Oh, what is that? A grandma wrapped around in a shawl. And the
I
screams
love
are coming
everything
for her.
about this.
And the screams are coming for her. He walks over, boom, it's the Green Goblin.
So
Okay.
I love that the cop lets him go, even though he's wanted, right?
Yeah.
I love that the cop lets him go to go help someone.
Yes, Oh
I
yes.
love that.
God.
And just the goblin is so
That
goofy in this movie, and I love
Goblin.
it.
So wait,
The
why did he burn
screams-
down the building?
Oh my god.
Just to
what?
lure, I think just to lure Spider-Man out. I don't know.
Yeah,
But so did he want to kill him, or did he? But I thought he wanted to like turn him.
Again,
green-
No, this is where he.
The
This is where he learns. Like he lures him out to get his answer to see if Spider-Man wants to join or not.
My question is, how
see.
does the Goblin make old lady noises? Is he making those noises? Does he have a
It's
recording?
totally
I don't-
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah,
it's
it's
totally
it's a Willem Dafoe.
He's been
It's
practicing
Willem
that for
Dafoe.
months in the mirror.
It's
I
not
love
Norman.
this.
It's not Green Goblin. It's Willem,
It's Willem
Dafoe.
Dafoe.
I love the scream. It's so stupid.
love
And the fight,
He flips around.
the subsequent fight is awesome too. Like I love the run, like jumping around at all the blades.
When he,
Yes,
when he
the
twists through the
Spidey
air.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Also a good fight. Scene.
Okay. So that's when it cuts his arm, right? And then
Yeah.
so that leads to like
Doesn't
when
it zoom in on his eye too when he does it?
I don't remember,
Maybe
I
not
do not
here.
remember.
Maybe not here.
but that leads to like when he's hiding back at the apartment and the blood drops, right? Like that's
It,
because
it
of that.
zooms in on his mask, yes, during
Yeah.
it. So yeah.
My question is, how does Norman hear or feel that blood drop?
Because he's Green Goblin, baby.
Oh, okay,
Well,
It
I
definitely
think
seems like
that's-
he has spider sense it for a second there.
something like that. Yeah, I was like,
It
Well-
also looks like tomato juice.
Also,
It probably was.
like,
Fucking hater.
I feel like if you heard a drip in your house, like just one drop, you'd probably be able to do it in like a dead silent room where like nothing's happening, and then one drop, like, bloop,
but usually
you'd probably
it doesn't.
hear it.
Usually, it doesn't make like a sound unless.
How'd you do that?
That was incredible.
How'd you do that?
Good.
Do it again.
I can do it with my mouth.
Do it again.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Wow.
If it sounded
Usually-
like that, I would have been like, that makes sense.
Wow.
But it made like no sound.
It does. Yeah, it would only make that sound if it fell into another puddle. It just fell like onto the floor, so you probably wouldn't hear much of anything.
I don't remember if his room was carpet or not, but he could probably still hear like something.
It was
in a
not
dead
carpet,
quiet room.
and that's how he was
Okay.
able to
Yeah.
hear it. But it was.
That's
I
what
found
I
it
thought.
strange.
Yeah, and
I
then
do
we get.
like. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Oh,
I
I was
also
gonna say-
feel like it was a Green Goblin type of thing too, because it like
Yes,
kind of
yeah,
triggered
senses,
him.
yeah.
Because it kind of triggered him.
Well, now we get the best line of the entire movie. When Peter comes back in and has to find an excuse for why he's late. So he said, "Sorry, I'm late. I had to beat an old lady with a stick to get these cranberries."
That is a great line.
plus line.
Great scene.
A plus.
Dude, I can only think that that was not in the script, and Raimi told him to say it on the spot because he thought it was hilarious. Like,
It
there's
was
no other
hilarious.
explanation.
Have you guys seen that video where it's like Avengers Endgame, and they're like, it's like the title is like calling Spider-Man to help fight Thanos or whatever,
Oh,
and like
yeah,
it's the
yeah,
scene
I've
where there's
seen
like
that.
these circles coming around, and everyone's like piling through to fight Thanos, and then Tobey Maguire pops out one of the holes, and he's like, "Sorry, I'm late. I had to be a."
Stick to get this.
Oh, man.
That's a great line. I don't know where it came from, though.
Oh,
'cause he
no,
never
it
my
was
acts like that.
favorite Tobey Maguire.
It was
line.
funny. He's saying it. He's like, I had to beat a grandma with a stick to get this, and then it was an Infinity Stone, and then
Yeah.
Captain Marvel comes down and gets it from him, and is like, "Thanks, Peter Parker."
Oh, that's good.
I think that is on par with "You Want Forgiveness, Get Religion"
Oh, truth. They're both so good.
Yep.
and my back.
My back.
Dude, okay, did anyone else notice how fake looking this turkey looked during this scene? I was like, that
was
is the fakest
Very
turkey
fake.
I've ever seen.
Very fake.
Dude, Aunt May sucks. She sucks at cooking. She sucks as a character. I fucking
She slapped
hate
his hand
I
so hard.
fucking
I like
hate
it.
Aunt May. Okay, I do like how she slapped his hand, but I hate
Bam.
her. Dude, she sucks in Spider-Man 2, especially. So
She makes the turkey look like the fake turkey from Arrested Development that was in the
The
model
actual
home.
fake turkey. Yes.
also, but like I love that she slaps his hand, but it's also like why? Like
Yeah, I know.
Just
And
tell
then-
him wait till dinner. Like you're so rude.
Because they're supposed to say grace first.
Just
Well,
so
bam,
rude.
right in the hand.
And then he
Luke knows
licks his
about that.
fingers like seductively. He's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, Luke, Luke, how would you feel if this guest in your house was Willem Dafoe and he didn't want to say grace, Luke?
Yeah, Luke would probably slap his hands too.
Luke, would you slap Willem Dafoe's hand if he didn't say grace before dinner?
True.
I
is he-
would. I would want to hold his hand.
Luke would
I
make
should
him
have been able to do
repent
that
for
during
his
grace.
sins.
why is he picking at it with his fingers anyway?
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know.
also, why is
Okay,
Peter
like,
wearing
to
a
be
long
honest,
sleeve
though-
shirt and then doesn't like button it to where you can see the scar, like the cut obvious? Fucking weirdo.
Oh wait, no, it was buttoned.
The-
No,
It was
wasn't.
buttoned, and the
Everybody
blood was.
cut out.
It was bleeding through.
The shirt was buttoned.
No.
It
I'll
was
send you a
bleeding
picture.
through, and then Aunt May cuffed it.
Oh,
and then
Aunt May
rolled it up.
cuffed it. Okay. Oh, so again, Aunt
Yeah.
May is the fucking villain. I fucking
That main villain of the film.
fucking hate her.
And then, okay, so Harry proves that he's a bad boyfriend in this scene because he does not defend his girlfriend at all when Norman is
Yeah,
like,
he defends
she's
his
after
Yeah,
you,
when
Cold
Norman-
dad, yeah.
Yeah.
Norman calls her a gold digging bitch, and Harry just takes it.
And then later,
And then
he's like,
defends him to MJ.
he comes back in and
Yeah.
he's like, "You heard that?" I'm like, "You guys are screaming."
The
in a
door
hallway.
was
This is
open.
big."
They were screaming.
And then he's like, he's a bigger man than I'll ever be, or something like that. And it's like, well, that's a look into your future if you ever date
Yep.
Harry forever. Like, oh god, I
She
hate
should have
this.
broken up with him right there.
Right then and there.
I know, I don't like it.
Oh, the next scene is when Norman is crawling on the ground and talking to his goblin mask, and it's
I like
psychotic,
it.
and I love
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
So good.
He's like, it's almost like they were like, how do you want to do this scene? And they're like, you want to do walking back and forth? He's like, I'm crawling on my hands and knees, and you can't convince me otherwise.
It's so good. It's like worshiping it, and I love that they did. Like,
Yeah, it was
the way
great.
It's great.
But by the way, I paused that to do something, and on Amazon Prime, it listed Willem Dafoe twice as Norman Osborn and Green Goblin, not
Yes,
even with
Luke,
a
he plays
slash.
both.
Awesome.
And I liked it.
He
I don't know if
plays
they did it on
both, you
purpose.
idiot.
Luke, you're so stupid. Of
You're
course,
so
it's.
stupid.
No,
I get what you're saying, Luke. I'm just fucking
like
with
they
you. I
didn't
get what
do
you're
a
saying.
slash,
I get
but I liked it if they did it on
I think-
purpose.
Well, I think they have to do that for, like, say if your alter ego had a different voice, they would put a different actor there. So it's like, here's
A
Norman
lot of
Reedus'
them-
credit for the acting part, and then for, like, the voice part.
IMDb will just be like slash.
Yeah.
Usually, it'll just say like Norman Osborn slash underneath the same name, but then it put his picture twice.
I liked it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see
Yeah,
what you're
that's what it did.
So then, Norman decides that the best course of action is to obliterate Aunt May's room.
Yo,
Okay,
that
okay,
was
Interrupt her during
hilarious.
prayer time.
Of course,
So
it was
From
funny.
evil.
That was great.
Evil.
You know what I love?
Evil.
I
It sounds
love-
like Mermaid Man.
I love that he makes her finish.
Evil.
The fact that he makes
Yeah,
her
he
finish
makes
the
her
prayer
finish.
is so fucked
It's
up.
That's
good.
creepy.
I
now
like
I'm
that.
Yeah,
I'm
baby.
confused. Why did he do that? So he did it to
Because evil was the next word.
Because
has
he
to
wants
deliver us
Peter to
from
join
evil.
him, but why would Peter join him if he's threatening? Because he's afraid for his aunt's life, but he
I
doesn't even
guess.
do anything to her. He just destroys
Just-
her room and then leaves.
Just to
Yeah, and
prove
sends
that.
her ass to the hospital, Luke.
I think
Luke, I think it's a
Okay.
threatening mechanism. It's like, do it or she's gonna die. Do it or I'm gonna ruin everything.
It's also to prove
Okay.
that he knows what Spider-Man's identity is.
Peter Parker is, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I would have liked if the scene wasn't so quick.
Send
Yeah.
his bitch ass
Well,
on to the
but we have to
hospital.
like move
I think it's
on.
kind of scary.
It is scary and it goes quick, but that gets us to the hospital scene.
I love
where-
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
everything.
yeah, MJ says she thinks she's in love with Spider-Man while she's dating Harry and holding Peter's hand.
And Peter gives the worst speech imaginable.
True,
Where he-
it's very bad.
it's
so
like
bad.
no girl would ever fall for you after giving that speech. It was so weird and so creepy.
She'd
and he
like,
talks so
don't touch me,
quietly."
don't touch
Yeah.
me anymore.
And
Stop
she,
touching me.
She holds his hand, and Harry comes in, and he just jumps to conclusions because
Okay, see,
Very
this
fast,
is-
very fast.
This is the problem: is that she has proven that she will do that.
That is
so
true.
he can't trust her, so they shouldn't be in a relationship.
But let
'cause
me
he can't
just
trust her.
say,
But you go ahead, Matt.
you've known this guy for 12 years. His aunt is like in the hospital, not doing well. Holding somebody's hand is like a consoling.
That is
gesture.
what I
right.
was gonna say. That is very much a consoling gesture.
He jumps to such conclusions. It's like
You know
she's
what he
trying to console the
fucking
guy.
says too? You know what that motherfucker says?
What does he say?
He says MJ's in love with Peter.
Yeah, that is
While
Straight up
he's
says-
wearing a
leap.
turtleneck.
Oh, he's like, no, he's
Says-
depressed.
He sees them holding hands, and that's what he thinks. He said, MJ's in love with Peter. So maybe this guy's fucking batshit crazy, and that's what they're trying to get across. But then he also says, I know it. Peter cares about no one more than MJ all these years. And then, like, he says that. He literally says that Peter has only cared about MJ, and he cares about her the most since forever, and he still decides to date her.
Yep.
What
I
a
also-
piece of trash, bro.
That scene
Agreed.
where he
Very.
talks to his dad, the laughter is the scariest thing in the world. He's just like, Dad?
I have I have a question because I'm a little bit confused. They've only known each other a few years? Question mark.
I don't know.
Harry?
Because Harry and Peter. Because
I don't know.
it
But were they
seems like they're
skipping
childhood
rocks?
friends. He's loved MJ since he was 6, and
Yeah.
Harry knows this. But then he's never met Norman, and in the beginning of the movie, he's
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
very
I
weird.
wrote a paper on you." Like, and he says, "Let me introduce you. This is my father," and it's like,
Very
yeah, I
Do
thought
you
you guys were
remember?
childhood friends. Like, I don't.
Luke,
quite
I
get
Maybe
it.
they just got super close in the little amount of time they had together.
I do
guess.
remember the skipping rock scene, Luke.
Thank
I know
you,
what you're
thank
going
you.
for.
I don't know
Fuck
why I
you,
remember
Luke.
that one
Fuck
so
you,
vividly.
Luke. Stop putting that in my head.
It's not terrible.
So after the 2 minutes of heartfelt dialogue between Harry and Norman, is that when we jump to the actual plot of like on the bridge?
We get like an Aunt May thing where she says, "Everyone knows you love MJ. You fucking
You're an
creep."
angel.
And
Mark, you're too far away from
that's
your
right.
mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. She's like, "Everyone knows you love MJ," and shit like that. And it's like, okay, so Peter's so creepy that his old ass aunt can realize that he's in love with MJ. That's weird.
And it definitely doesn't have anything to do with all the pictures of MJ he took at school that are in his room.
Yeah, it's in his sock drawer. Okay, that's bad. I'm sorry.
Okay, so there's that scene. And then is it the bridge?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. First question, why are the kids out on the tram at night?
He kidnapped them.
Yeah, that guy
3
kidnapped
p.m.
all those kids. No, like, I think their teacher kidnapped him and brought him out at night.
That's what it was. Yeah.
So, it's the classic, like, you can only save one. So I like that
It's
idea.
like the train.
that.
It's the
I like
whatever.
that.
What's it called? The train.
Trolley car.
Oh, the
trolley.
trolley problem, yeah.
But my problem is Spider-Man. I feel
Well-
like would go for the kids. I don't feel
Yeah,
like
what?
I don't like this choice.
Also a little different, because in the trolley problem, it's like, if you do nothing, some people
Right.
will die, but one will live. But in this one, if he
You
does
have to
nothing,
take
everyone
action.
will die. So it's like, you have to take action some way.
But if he didn't know he could do both, wouldn't you go for the kids first?
I think that if you most of the time, if you try to go for both, you're gonna miss both.
so.
And so it's like
his decision, which I feel like from the comics, Spider-Man would be the kids. You know what I mean? But he goes for
Right.
MJ first, which is probably my biggest nitpick with this movie, is that he jumps for MJ first. Which, it made it easier to go swing to the whole trolley than, like, the vice versa, but it wasn't that decision he made. It was the fact that he wanted to save MJ, which I do not
Well,
like whatsoever.
True, but who cares
Spider-
about kids? Am I
yeah,
right?
Spider-Man. Spider-Man was living by his motto, which is "fuck them kids."
Yeah, he's just trying to
will
get with
say-
MJ, dude. He's like, if I save
The-
her, she will definitely sleep with me.
The girl
will
I
say
loved
that
before I
the-
even liked girls.
I will say that the Goblin had a really good line here. He started singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider went up the water spout. Down came the Goblin and took the spider out.
Yeah, dude,
Good stuff.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah. Also, my favorite shot of the movie is looking in the mask eyes and seeing the tram and MJ fall at the same time. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yes, that was.
That's
good.
like my
That was
favorite
good.
shot of the movie.
Yeah,
That's good.
they had some promotional stuff with the eyes too
Oh, okay.
that they had to re-edit because it was the Twin Towers in his eyes before 9/11 happened, and so apparently like that they did sell those, and now they're like collector's items because they recalled every single one of them, and they had there was a trailer. For this movie, that there's like a helicopter going rogue or something, and he caught them with webs in between the Twin Towers. So they had to like redo shit like that, which was super.
Yikes.
But
Ugh.
yeah, it was just one of those things that they worked with the eyes more, and I'm wondering if they did stuff and had to cut it out of this movie because of that.
And,
Maybe.
yeah, I wonder if, like, I don't even know if they were going to do this for this scene, but they're like, that eye shot was cool. We should include it somewhere. And
Yeah.
they're like, how about this scene?
I don't even know if they were going to use the Twin Towers in the movie.
True.
But they're using it in promotions because it's like a New York staple. But I really like the use of the eyes in this scene where you can see both of them. I agree.
It's great. And then New York comes together to
This
save
was
the
the
day.
cheesiest,
Yep.
corniest thing to
th-
ever happen.
This
I
they
hated it.
I read that they added this because of 9/11. So it was New York banding.
It
it.
was like,
Oh.
that makes a lot of
So
sense.
plus.
them
It's a
doing that,
plus.
like it was cheesy, but the reason they did it was really good. So
And I bet you when people, like, actual New Yorkers
Yeah.
saw that in theaters, it was like an
Oh,
uplifting
man.
moment.
Maybe
Yeah,
they tied
definitely.
a tear.
So I like.
Okay.
So I like it. I get
Yeah.
it's cheesy, but it's inserted because of that. So
True.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so he's able to save everybody, which is unrealistic, but it's Spider-Man, so it's fine.
it's Spider-Man, man. It's
Spider-Man.
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 We get to the final showdown.
Ooh.
And one of the worst lines of the movie I don't remember how it comes up. Goblin says something about Peter being out or something. And he says, "It's you who's out, Gobby, out of your mind."
Fuck yes,
Yes.
dude. Fuck yes.
baby.
First off, Gobby?
Gobby.
Yeah, man. I
Gobby
like
the
it.
house
I
elf.
like
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, dude.
I love
I
it.
like that.
Secondly, that's just so, like, you couldn't have come up with something better on the fly? Come on, man.
No,
He's a kid. It's Tobey
good.
Maguire.
I
It's
love
realistic.
It, dude. It is realistic.
I do love the shot of his eye when like the bomb flies at him and it blows the fuck
Yeah.
out of his mask, which I
is
like because I
That
really
was
like this
good.
last scene where it's like half mask, half not. I like it.
And
Yeah,
I
that's
like the way that they fly and, like, break down those walls when they go through walls. It's pretty cool. Like, it looks rough. You're like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, he also does like a front flip at him. Goblin does and punch him in the face, which is kind of funny.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, that's the chef's kisses right there.
Okay. My question about the end part where Norman is trying to appeal to him emotionally so that he can distract him and hit him with the glider, right?
Yes.
What was his plan for getting out of the way anyway?
None.
Because even if the glider
Peter
hits,
Parker's body would have stopped the glider.
I don't think the spikes were they big enough to go through him and hit him.
I think so.
I would
That's
think
why I
so.
wondered. I was like,
Honestly, I think so, but I think his plan was just stab this fool and then he'll stop.
okay, yeah. Well, here, like, when it actually hits Norman, it goes all the way through and sticks him to the wall. So it could have gone all the way through and gotten him after it hit Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which is my question. Like, why didn't he move anyway?
Because he's Gobby.
Because it's Gobby, my man.
His,
But the fact that he gets impaled by a bunch of spikes on his glider is so metal and wicked for a kid's
I
movie.
love it.
I
I
like
love it
it.
because of that. Because it's like, dude, he killed himself
It's
on
so
accident.
crazy.
I liked that.
nuts.
it
yeah.
is metal. How does, like, it pierce his armor? Like, you would think that since they made both of those things, it wouldn't be able to pierce his own armor.
But the spikes are made of probably just as strong material. Because
Vibranium?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
it's the
about to
same
say
thing.
vibranium.
It's like I bet that's why because it's
Probably.
by his same thing. So
I
they're like-
love
yeah.
the zoom in where he goes, "Oh," and then he gets hit.
I know.
It's
It was
amazing.
like so menacing, and then he was like,
Oh, and then yeah, so
It's
good.
great. It's great.
And then he pulls the "Don't tell Harry,"
don't tell Harry.
and then his death is kind of funny because he just goes, "Ugh."
Hey Luke, promises are meant to be broken.
oh my god. What was
It's
that from again?
That's from Amazing Spider-Man 1 when Stacy told him not to see his daughter.
Ah, yes. Ah, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Promises are meant to be
Meant to be
broken.
broken.
That was the man's dying wish, Pete.
Oh, Pete.
My question, I would understand if in that movie Peter kept that promise because Captain Stacy is like someone he respects and stuff. Why does
Right.
he keep Norman's promise? Because Norman is a bad guy.
And
Things would
he was-
probably be.
Go ahead. I mean,
Things would probably be better for Harry if Harry knew the truth about his father.
I would think that as well.
So I don't know.
I agree, and we get into this more in the sequels, where it's like,
Yeah.
just tell him.
Why are you keeping a
Harry
promise to a
literally-
dead man?
Like, has depression because of
Yeah,
it.
and it's like it's his dying wish, but he was literally the villain.
The
Yes.
Why are-
evil man who tried to impale you with his glider.
So,
But
yeah.
not only that, again, if he was a more sympathetic character before the Goblin, it'd make more sense.
Or
But
if
he's
he
not.
had
He didn't
known
even
him.
know him.
Yep.
Know him before. Well, yeah.
That's what like causes this movie to have like some issues.
Exactly.
So
And then is it a direct cut to the funeral? I think so,
I think
right?
so.
He
Oh, no.
lays
Yeah.
Norman on the bed.
oh, this is where Harry finds out.
And then Harry just goes, "What have you done?"
That turtleneck. I
Sounds
love.
very real.
I love the bad turtleneck too. It just adds to it.
You can only tell that he's depressed because of the turtleneck.
Yeah, yeah. That's God.
And then that's like a really quick scene because we don't get his like grieving until the next movies.
We kind of see it at the funeral. Like,
Oh, yeah, a little
for
bit.
a second. Yeah.
But
One thing
and-
I hated at the funerals, Harry says to Peter, "You're my only family now." And
But
so it's like,
I don't get if they're old friend. That's what confuses me.
So at the funeral, after Harry tells Peter that he's his only family, MJ jumps to "I love you" with
I love
Peter
him.
so
How?
fast.
So
Why?
fast.
No,
Also,
nothing
at
there.
her ex-boyfriend's dad's funeral.
funeral.
Like, not the time to get horny, MJ.
He's just there to be the love interest to
Disrespectful.
literally everyone, and it's the same in Spider-Man 2, 2.1, 3,
At
3
three
the editor's
editors
cut.
Nothing has happened throughout the movie that should make her like Peter. She should
Spider-Man
like
makes more
Spider-Man.
sense, yeah.
I like.
Yes.
I do know Peter was always supportive to her.
That's
Peter
true.
is a
Harry
simp.
was not.
Definitely,
I
he's,
get it.
no, he is
I
the
also
OG
agree
simp.
with
He is
that.
the
Yeah.
OG simp. I agree.
But at least he's being nice.
Okay.
I mean, everybody
True.
else sucked.
Everyone else does suck. I mean, she had Flash Thompson and fucking Harry, so
I don't like that she's in love with him because she's literally in love with literally everybody.
Yep.
But I do get it.
But you know
because
what I
he
love
was-
the most, Luke? That he's like, get fucked.
Okay,
Those
okay,
are
so
not-
I'm
I
confused.
love
I
that.
don't-
I'll
It's
see
so
that
good.
later. But doesn't he get jealous in Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, we'll talk about that
Okay.
in a couple
But
weeks.
if
Wait.
don't be, you chose not to. Okay.
He
Okay.
he said no though because he has a duty to fulfill.
I-
He has to be Spider-Man.
I like
I-
it in this movie. It doesn't make any sense in Spider-Man 2.
I don't like it in this movie because I felt like they set that up poorly.
I guess so because he's pining over.
I was
her
like,
for
I
literally
literally
12
had
years.
no idea why he friend zones her because they never explain like, oh, it's because I'm afraid she's gonna get hurt because of my identity. He never expresses concern about that
all
at
he
any point.
all
in
he
the movie.
says is, "I wanted so hard to tell her how much I loved her."
Quick,
It's like, why didn't you then?
Wait, didn't he say that in the monologue though? That even though he's Spider-Man, the people around him are the ones that get hurt.
yes, he does
I
at
guess.
the end. And future
Yes.
little future spoiler scene from Spider-Man 2. He's like at a payphone, and he's like calling her, and he's like, it doesn't work, right? And so he's just talking to himself, and he's like, it's because my enemies and stuff like that they can't be together. But it doesn't really make any sense because he didn't really have enemies. The one enemy that he just had died.
Yep.
So who cares? He doesn't know
But he knows.
more Sinister
no,
Six
he
bitches
knows.
are coming.
He knows that because he's Spider-Man, there's gonna be some
But
people. out
we've
for
never
him.
established that there's big fucking evil enemy people
Yes.
before this. It's
I
just
understand.
normal crime in the city.
I understand
That's
the concept.
that's where they take your previous knowledge about Spider-Man into it.
Well, okay, I understand the concept because they do this in so many superhero things where it's like, I can't let people get close to me because they could get hurt. But they didn't really like do that throughout this movie because he's pining for her this whole movie, trying to be with her, even when he is Spider-Man. So all of a sudden, for him to be like, "No,
Yeah.
I can't now," it's kind of
It
odd.
was the Green Goblin's death and attack and what he put her through that opened his eyes to it.
I would.
I would like-
I agree and agree they didn't do it well though.
Yeah.
Throughout the
yeah.
movie, he's pining for her and he wants her really bad and he wants to be with her. And then the Green Goblin like finds out who he is and kidnaps her. And then that's his realization and blows up fucking Aunt May's shit. And then that's his realization that, oh shit, if I just like all these people that are close to me go get fucked up by some blue goblin or red
okay,
goblin.
so does he just
something.
want Aunt May
Like
to
the
die?
Power Rangers.
Does he just want Aunt May to die? She doesn't matter.
Well, wouldn't she?
True, that's
Yes.
true though.
yeah,
That's
he
true.
does because she
Okay.
fucking sucks.
Mr. Goblin.
He has wanted that all movie.
Oh god.
And then we get real bad narration again.
Yes.
Where
I
is this
like-
where he says,
Huh.
"Who am I? Are you sure you want to know?"
That's in the
Oh,
beginning.
Yeah, that's the
Did he-
Like this
That was
story
in the
is not
beginning.
for the faint of heart.
Oh,
It's not for the faint of
As
heart.
as with all
Apparently,
stories,
Luke's the
stories
faint of
about a
heart because it's
girl.
not
Wait.
for him.
Am I just
Ooh,
crazy?
true.
I
He
thought.
said
Did he say
yeah.
something like that at the end also?
he might have.
I thought he like repeated
know.
like the first part. I don't
Are you
remember.
sure? It isn't
No.
for the faint of heart. As with all stories, it's about a girl. That's how it begins.
Dear God, what the fuck?
Okay, but I will
Dear
say, dude,
God, what the
at
fuck?
the end, the shots of him swinging around the city are awesome.
Dope.
Yes.
So dope.
Yes,
Yes.
I will talk about that in Hit Picks. Or we're at Hit Picks Nitpicks.
Yeah,
aren't we?
that's the end of the movie.
We are at Hit
Okay,
Picks.
Hit
Go
Picks
ahead.
are all Spider-Man scenes, stuff that we don't really get in like Far From Home, Homecoming, of him
Yes.
just being
Yes.
fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
love it in this
Yes.
movie. I think it's really, really good. Of course, all the ages of everybody is a big nitpick. Doesn't
Yeah.
none of it works. Another
It doesn't.
nitpick. I feel like the ending is good, but a little bit anticlimactic. Could have had like maybe 3 more minutes in there somewhere.
I don't
It,
care.
it does happen a little fast.
A little bit.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
the whole thing happens fast.
But again,
Just
it's a Spider-Man
everything.
movie, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, but maybe a little bit anticlimactic. I think that's it. Oh, and turtleneck. Turtleneck is big.
Turtleneck nitpick.
I've kind of hit on all of mine already. I just wanted to re-emphasize that Danny Elfman killed it with the score throughout
That
the whole
I was
movie.
gonna say that was my hit pick. I really like the score.
True.
And I don't particularly enjoy Tim Burton movies, so I haven't heard I haven't heard a lot of Danny Elfman's music because I know he works with Tim Burton a
God.
lot.
Tim Burton.
Fuck
Yeah.
Tim Burton.
Yeah, he's a.
Oh, is he
douche.
bad guy?
No, it's just I just
He's
don't really like his
racist.
movies.
He's a
Oh,
little
really?
racist.
That's,
Oh, okay, so
that's
he's
news
bad
to
guy.
me.
It's one of those things where like he never ever has like a supporting or leading actor of color. It's always white people in every single one of his movies for over 30 years and stuff
He
like
said
that.
it didn't match the.
You're too
aesthetic
close to your
of
mic
his
now, Mark.
film.
It's
He,
yeah.
he loves pale people.
Yeah,
I mean, look at Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Willy
and the
Wonka was the
Chocolate
palest man I've ever
but
seen.
he like
Very
he
true.
said people of other race don't match the like his films, and it's like, dude, get out of your own fucking ass. Like,
True.
so I don't like him. Oh,
Okay, well,
I do have
anyway.
one more. Well, I don't know if it's a hit pick or nitpick. It's kind of weird. So MJ's hair is more like the comics red in this,
Yeah.
but I kind of don't like it. I like it the more natural looking color red in the sequels.
It
So
looks okay. So this was I watched this with my girlfriend Katie. For those listeners who don't know,
Shout out.
shout out Katie.
yes, yes.
plug.
And this was her first time watching this movie, and like the first scene MJ was in, she's like, "Is that her real hair color?" I was like, "Absolutely not.
No.
Like it's like clearly dyed. Like it's kind of bad dyed." So
The other ones look like it could be natural.
Yeah.
It's a completely different. It's like very weird how different it is. I like it kind of because it's kind of comic booky and it was straight red in the comics, but I like the more natural better.
yeah,
so
it
kind
looks
of a
pretty
nitpick.
unnatural.
Yeah, and they dyed her eyebrows too. I think so. It's like,
Oh yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
I
Dyeing
hate when they
eyebrows is not a good idea ever.
What was
Never.
the other one
It's
that they dyed
Thor.
eyebrows? Thor.
Thor?
No, wait, didn't they do some? It's Thor one with his dyed eyebrows was bad. We talked about one where dyed eyebrows too. I can't remember.
I don't remember.
All
Alright, can I go through my hit picks?
Yes.
Please do.
All the Spidey sense scenes, they were all done well,
Yeah.
and I'm glad they actually exist in this Spider-Man.
Yes.
Bone Saw McGraw. So cool. He was so cool. Also, hit pick. Also, what I liked, what I thought was funny is there's like, so he was like doing something, and there's like a montage of like getting people's opinions on him, and some cop said he's like a freaky Lou wackadoo. And then there's like some girl, and she said, 8 hands sounds hot.
Oh and
Yeah.
then- wait, is that this?
Oh,
That's when they
God.
had the guy in the subway singing about Spider-Man too.
Yeah, that's when they had
okay.
the guy in
Yes.
the subway singing about Spider-Man. And you know what? It's crazy because they had like the guy singing in the subway about Spider-Man, and it's like trash singing. It's fucking trash. It's like horrible. And then it reminds me of Soul, where the guy's singing in the subway, and
Yeah.
it's so beautiful and it's so nice.
Yeah. Anything else? Hit pick,
No,
nitpick?
that's it for me. All right, Luke.
Here we
I
go.
said it. Hit
Yep.
pick music.
I
Nitpick was wrestling. My bad.
Ooh, I will say,
Hater,
whoa,
just
okay,
so- that doesn't
okay,
make any
hater,
sense.
hater. That doesn't. That's like one of the best parts of the movie, and he's gonna hate on this wrestling. So.
I do have another nitpick though.
Me too. Me too.
okay.
You go first, though.
I was just gonna say lack of diversity. Would have liked to see more diversity in the movie. Everyone was white.
Yeah, did we
Yes.
have any
Literally
characters
everyone.
of color except the teacher?
The teacher.
And J. Jonah Jameson's assistant.
Oh yeah,
He was
that's
just
not very
sitting
many
there.
people.
He was just
Yeah.
sitting there.
He was
He has a
just
little
sitting
bit of a
there
bigger
thinking.
part in two, but it's like just give me more diversity. You know.
That's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, it's New York City too. Come on,
Yeah, that's what,
cut the
like,
crap, Sam
It's
Raimi.
one of those
Cut
like
the
the
crap.
comics were all white people, so they're trying to stay true. But like, I like the new versions. Flash is not white.
He's
Zendaya's not
Pakistan-
white.
Indian,
Like I like
Ned.
that.
Yeah,
Ned, none of
isn't.
like it, I like that.
Yeah.
Ned's like Hawaiian or Samoan, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I
I
really
think Ned
like
is
that.
Hawaiian. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that a lot better. So that
Nitpick.
nitpick.
The parade CGI and the balloon, the lone balloon that flies off into the sky. The CGI of that was like, you took that in Photoshop and you were dragging it across the screen.
Yeah,
That's
man.
like most of the CGI is good. That one was a bad part though.
yeah. Okay.
All right.
Ratings combined. Is
Oh,
anyone
yes.
changing?
No,
I'm keeping mine.
Okay.
I have to stay.
I'll
Toby?
give it a 6.7.
So
We moved the needle.
so
Yeah.
The needle.
6.7. Tony 7.5.
Yeah.
Matt 7.6,
Yes.
and I was 7.3.
Yes.
So ratings combined 7.275. So 7.28.
There we go.
Not bad.
Let's see how that ranks against our other ones. I made a list of all of our other ones.
Oh, good.
Ooh,
So,
really?
Yeah.
That's good.
Number 1, Jojo Rabbit, 8.86. Grand Budapest, 8.83.
That was number 1?
Yeah, by
Oh,
0.03.
man.
Soul, 8.7. Hush, 7.43.
No, that one's too high.
Spider-Man,
I disagree.
Hater.
Tony.
Spider-Man, 7.28.
Feels
Then-
like a good spot.
Then Social Network, 6.98. B-Movie,
Miss B
5.86. Way too low.
B-Movie.
Way too low. The Phantom Menace, 4.13.
No,
Hobbs and
Yes.
Shaw, Hobbs and Shaw, 2.06. And Gone in 60 Seconds. Oh, Matt.
Oh, it's okay. Go ahead and spoil it.
1.66.
I have to watch that movie.
Okay. Matt, did you notice that Jennifer Lawrence was in this movie?
Who was she?
Excuse me?
Oh, wait, that must have been Hinter's Bone.
Ouch!
Yeah!
Oh.
I didn't do it for Matt.
Why must you hurt me so? I enjoy it. I'm like the one fan who is like, yeah, give me the
One
bad
person-
puns.
Yeah, give me it. It's like
All right, let's get to it.
So Matt gets to know ahead of time now.
And
He
do
does.
I get to guess?
Yeah, sure.
Here's
I'll
my
let you guys
first
guess
hint.
first, though.
Yeah.
Here's my first hint.
Oh, just to
Mark?
preface this is Luke's choice of movie for
Yes.
the next week.
Next week, and then the week after, we'll do Spider-Man 2 and continue that way.
Yes.
Here's my first hint. Mark and Matt hate this movie, but Tony likes it.
Oh no, that's a big hint. Tony, you
Okay,
Don't
I
know.
Tony, guess. I have a guess.
So I've seen this movie before, I'm assuming.
You have. We've talked about it on the podcast. That's why I'm doing this.
Oh. Maybe
Oh,
I
it's
don't.
Cars.
No.
I really thought it was, and I was
I
like,
like-
I thought we were gonna do it as a
I
series.
like Cars.
That's why I saved it. I wanted to do it, but we're doing it as a series.
We
I
don't
like,
like-
I like the first Cars.
Okay, go ahead, Marky. Go ahead, Mark.
Oh God, I don't know something that Tony like. X-Men Apocalypse.
Damn it, that was my
no.
guess.
No.
That was my guess also, so we can go to the next hint.
Hint number 2. Okay, Gladiator.
A gladiator.
Hold on.
I don't know. 300?
No.
That was a good guess. That's what I was thinking. Gerard Butler.
Snyder. Kill the Snyder, yeah.
Geostorm.
No.
I
Oh,
like
the Russell Crowe route.
That's where I went. No, I went the Gerald Butler for Sparta.
But he said Gladiator, and Russell Crowe's in Gladiator.
Right, I was thinking Gladiator,
okay.
like type of.
Okay, well, I guess another Gerard Butler movie, I guess. Olympus Has Fallen.
No.
Okay.
Hint number 3.
What the fuck does Tony?
Shake weight.
Oh no!
Wait,
No, Tony. Wait till Tony gets it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
wait a
baby.
second.
Dick
Yeah,
bag.
baby.
You dick.
There's a shake.
I
weight
wanted
in
to
this
rewatch
movie.
it, and we've talked on podcast. I'm letting people know
Tony,
why
Vacation.
you guys don't like
Is there a
it.
shake weight in Vacation?
No, we all
No.
like Vacation.
No.
Okay. I don't.
give him
I don't
another
know. Give me
hint.
one more.
Hint
Give me-
Yeah,
give me
Mark
one.
and I
Number
know.
4. I'm making these up in my head. I didn't write.
I can give the fourth hint if you want, Luke.
Okay,
God
give
of
me a
War.
fourth.
Or Jeff Goldblum.
God of War.
That's two
Or
hints.
Jeff Goldblum. Oh, it's Thor Ragnarok. Yes.
Oh, I hate you so much.
We've talked about it on the podcast. Why Tony likes it and you guys hate it. And I
It'll
want
be a
people to
good
know
conversation.
Yes.
It'll be a good.
Thor
Wait,
why
what's
you
the-
guys feel this way.
What's the Gladiator
The
angle?
Best
They
Thor.
gladiator
Gladiator
fight.
fight.
Oh,
Hulk
duh.
and
I
Thor.
forgot. Yep.
God
Almost
fucking
the
damn it,
best
dude.
MCU movie.
You
but we'll
fucking
talk
take it
about
back.
that.
We're
But
talking
we'll
about
talk
Spider-Man, and you're gonna throw that into this conversation. Of course, Matt would think so because Matt fucking hates Spider-Man. But then I wouldn't expect it from you.
Who do you think you're talking to?
Someone who didn't
Sir?
put Spider-Man No Way Home on his top 10 anticipated films of
Oh,
2021
Matt, plug
list.
Oh,
your YouTube channel, Cinematic.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Please. I have a YouTube channel called Cinematic, CINE, capital MATTIC. It has 8 followers, so
He gives some
Yeah,
hot
baby.
fucking takes I don't agree with, though.
I review movies, old and new.
And he's going to be
Mark-
joining us every other week. Though.
Yes, I am. Mark hates me because I didn't put the new Spider-Man movie on my top 10 anticipated movies, and it's even worse because Mission Impossible 7 got pushed back to 2022, so there's a
Did
slot
it
open.
really?
Dick.
Did it
Yep.
really?
Dick.
God, I hate you. Okay, anyway, next week we'll be doing Thor Ragnarok. So Matt won't be with us
Yes,
then
baby.
for recording schedule. He'll be back for Spider-Man 2 the week after. So thank you guys for watching with us, and you can go to our Facebook page at Tonight's Watch Podcast, all one word. Follow our Twitter, Tonight_Watch, or our Instagram, Tonight's Watch Podcast, again, all one word. Also consider rating and reviewing this episode if you enjoyed, because that helps us out the most. And if you want to email us any movie suggestions, we're open to hearing it, because we suck at picking movies sometimes. Luke
Very much
obviously
so.
does with Thor Ragnarok, am I right? So,
Wrong. That's a wrong one. I got Luke's back on that one.
so we're opening that up, and you could, that's tonight's watch podcast at gmail.com if you want to email us. We would love to hear anything from any of you guys. I think that's super cool. So
And I think it goes without saying there's no apostrophe because you can't do that.
yes,
Don't
So,
forget, you can listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
YouTube too now, and Google
And
Podcasts.
YouTube.
Anyway, watch Thor Ragnarok with us, and then Spider-Man 2 the week after. Luke, roll us out,
And that was tonight's watch.
since that's the only thing you can do on this podcast.
True.
You guys hate.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.